Is it close enough at this point that, we're going to get to Stockholm and that's a catchable team? Like, you're actually going to win that series this time around?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, like, we're working really hard. Like, I think harder than every other NA team. Like, I'm pretty sure we're the only NA team this stage that actually, like, triple blocked. Like, we would triple block and VOD review. Some days, double block VOD review. But, like,
maybe these neon skins, mate, maybe they pop off and actually Stockholm is 10x the EWC.
Do you think how much money did they raise with the Hanzo skin?
Like $40 at least.
It was like a cum low amount in the end, wasn't it? Like,
I don't know why they don't just make like a Mercy skin. Like,
I mean,
do something. Why do we have neon? Why do we have neon Junkrat? Like, please, I don't want that.
That'll be the biggest problem for Toronto. Like if Toronto keeps their roster going into the next year or whatever, there'll definitely be those issues where like, people are maybe a little bit less hungry than they used to be. I think someone like Vega is always grinding it out and stuff like that. But I wonder if some of the older players, like your Merits, your someones, your RuPauls, like RuPaul still puts in the work as well, but he's been doing it for so long. I wonder if they're reaching the end of their tether for it, because everyone does eventually, right? Everyone gets bored of grinding the game for 14 hours a day at some point. It's just a question of when.
SSG run into a familiar problem of playing against Widowmaker on Junkertown. Quartz plays pretty well. I think everyone will agree on that part of it. Quartz had a pretty good old game on that. But there seemed to be some disagreement with the tactical decisions here. So I guess it's you start, Chris. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 28 of Uncoachable. Our guest today has a lot in common with me. His name is also Xavier. Our hairlines are pretty identical. We're both widely considered as two of the best Genjis in North America. The only real difference between the two of us is on Sunday, my team won, and on Sunday, his team lost. Welcome, Zeruhh.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Let's start right there then, because big grand final. Everyone enjoyed OWCS North America, the grand final. You went all the way versus Toronto, but you couldn't close it out. And this is maybe starting to become a pattern. This is you've had 2 map 5s against them, 1 map 7. Every time you lose the clutch. What goes wrong against Toronto?
I mean, I think versus Toronto, like, I have to give them a lot of credit. I think they, like, at both times we've actually gone up and like it's been to match point and they like, bounce back and they win 2 maps in a row. Like sure, maybe like we choke, but I think there's also a lot of good things that they do to stay calm in that. But also, like, I mean, I don't know. We've been working really hard. Like, we worked harder than I think every team this stage. So eventually we'll beat them on match point, I think.
A lot of people kind of, when I was interviewing players beforehand, they all talked about how this was like the worst meta, or maybe not the worst meta for Toronto, but this was the meta they were most catchable on. Do you think that's true? Do you think part of it is the meta and that's made it so possible to get close to them?
Yeah. I mean, like, I think it kind of, like, the meta was pretty uncomfortable for them. Like, RuPaul on Brig, Vega had to pick up a new hero like Juno, and then maybe someone would prefer to play like Winston. But I mean, also, like, in our match, like, we beat them playing Reinhardt, and like some points we beat them playing Monkey. Like, I'm pretty sure Gibraltar came down to like 2 fights and we could have won Gibraltar. Like, we're making it really competitive in the dive mirror, and I don't think it's just the meta like people say. I think we're improving, and it's almost like enough to beat Toronto.
So do you think it's a case where, like, if you just continue to have OWCS 5, 6, 7, and 8, like you will catch this team? Assume that the cycle and the teams go through to the next year, or maybe even just like, do you think you have? Is it close enough at this point that we're going to get to Stockholm and that's a catchable team? Like, you're actually going to win that series this time around?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, like, we're working really hard. Like, I think harder than every other NA team. Like, I'm pretty sure we're the only NA team this stage that actually, like, triple blocked. Like, we would triple block and VOD review. Some days, double block VOD review. But, like, I think everyone's trying super hard, and I don't think talent is enough anymore. Like, I feel like you have to work really hard too to stay at the top. So eventually we'll win that, I think, if it comes to it at Stockholm.
Is triple blocking like dead in North America? Does nobody do that anymore? It's just not
I
good.
mean, yeah, I don't think teams triple block. Like, I know TSM, like they made their roster to try and like catch us, but like with points. But
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure they were like single blocking like every day, unironically. Like their goal was to like, you know, build a strong roster that like has like enough points to, you know, maybe upset us, but like it's like you have a talented roster, but if you don't work hard, you're not going to beat us, you know? Because we also are talented, but we work harder. So like that's just how it's going to go, you know?
Yeah, it feels like all of North America has like really heavily relaxed throughout the year, to be honest. Like at the start of the year, Maryville's roster, like the Luminosity roster, they were double blocking like pretty much every single day, you know? But it feels like so many teams since the start of the year, since like the first half of OWCS when Dallas was on the line, pretty much like everyone has quit their like intense scrimming regime to the point that now it's like, you know, the teams that single block is not a surprise anymore. But like I feel like there would be no like seriously competitive OWCS team that was single blocking on a regular basis in the first half of the year. That feels like almost unheard of.
I don't know. I mean, I actually think like towards the top of NA, like NRG, Toronto, and Nightmare, like I think we've definitely gotten more serious actually with how much work is being put in. Because like before it was like what M80 at the top, you know, like they're playing for a free vacation, like they're still getting second place, like you know, not really trying, not putting in the work, like you know, treating it as just like a free vacation going to Saudi. But now that I think the players who actually wanted to win on M80 are on NRG. Like NRG is working harder. You know, Nightmare's working really hard, and I think if we keep working hard, we'll eventually, you know, like continue to make Toronto work hard because they're actually catchable in our region now. So I think towards the top, like the passion is there, and uh, teams really want to win, you know. But maybe towards like the mid tier, maybe I don't know. I cannot speak for them. I think.
Basically outside of your top three, assuming that NRG is top three, even though, you know,
Top
Yeah.
6.
but yeah, more like sixth place twice for the lane qualifiers, but you know, nice.
I feel like Toronto have always actually Toronto always double block, right? Like they never triple block, I think.
Yeah,
But,
yeah, that's
yeah.
right.
Toronto also like to be honest, this is the place to end my grievances. Toronto have been pissing me off the last week. I would kind of hope they lose next time. You know, they show up every scrim 10 minutes late, and then they leave every scrim 20 minutes early because they need to get food before their next block. So, firstly, fuck you, Toronto, for that. But I feel like they also do this thing. I don't know how long are you guys taking off? Like, when do you start scrimming again?
I think we start scrimming like tomorrow.
Okay,
Oh,
So
yeah.
we're
so, like-
taking like only a couple days off. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Toronto take like pretty sizable breaks between stages
Yeah,
too.
they
Like,
do.
I think someone told me they might even be taking like 3 weeks.
Lenny
off. I
said,
feel like,
Lenny said 3 weeks on my Twitch chat the other day.
yeah, 3
That's
is
insane,
probably-
surely.
Yeah, 3 seems like we're back on Monday, so we're doing 1 week off. But yeah, I think Toronto is kind of like they're. I mean, to be honest, we've been the same. We're kind of on the work-life balance arc of Overwatch because we had too much of that non-work-life balance of Overwatch. But yeah, I don't know. Like I think in EU, I don't think anyone triple blocked except EWC week. Like that, those weeks, like Korean bootcamp week into Saudi week, triple block. Apart from that, I think I'm fairly sure we've only been double blocked the whole season.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean this stage we kind of knew like it's kind of do or die, you know. Like TSM and Citrus, they're making teams that are like with the intent of placing above us. Like in my head, the only way we lose those games is if we don't work hard enough. So we kind of all agreed like if we're gonna make Sweden, we might as well like leave it all in the scrims the past couple weeks. You know, really try our best to make it because the only way we lose is if we don't try hard enough.
Were Lethal and Clear present in those conversations?
I was gonna say.
Actually, I mean, I don't know. Lethal does. I mean, Lethal will just show up in the VC like on his phone and say,
Lethal is not leave
That's
it all
that's
into
actually about
games.
right. Yeah.
and he'll just show up like I don't know where he is in the middle of nowhere. He's like, "Yo, I can ring all. Like, let me play Junkertown." I'm like, all right. And then Clear, Clear will spectate scrims and like give his input. You know, like maybe if Infected's on a hero that he's not necessarily known for, Clear will like try and help him like try and help them out and like coach and stuff.
You have a pretty young team, right? So you've actually got like maybe like how old are you? You can't be that old.
I just turned 18.
Okay, and how old's
So-
Infected? He must be the same, right?
He's still 17. Yeah.
Fucking hell. Okay. Who's your flex support on that team?
CJ. I think CJ's like 20, 21.
Okay, yeah. So actually, like you guys have got like actually like the perfect mix. You know, you got those like I already tell with your attitude, you're all we got to leave it all in scrims pilled. You know, that was me 8 years ago. You know, actually more than 8 years ago, fucking 10 years ago. But actually, I think that's probably the only way that Toronto do get caught is actually ironically like the young talented kids, because I actually think. I mean, you'll know better than me. I actually think Infected actually starting to look really fucking solid. There's like a tank like prospect here in NA. Like actually Winston looks really, really like comparable. I think it's Orisa. Maybe Orisa's like people saying it was his best hero. I don't really know, but he actually looked really fucking solid. So maybe you guys actually have got all of like the next ups, you know, yourself included.
Yeah, Infected works really hard. He's always playing ranked, voting, and is always down to triple block. So.
Does he go to school?
He's at Winthrop.
He's in collegiate now. Yeah.
He's in collegiate.
Did he even finish high school? Or did he just go straight through to Kappa College?
He did virtual, I think. So graduated.
Virtual.
Like on
virtual.
Yeah.
Back in my day, we actually had to go to school. Okay, then I guess the question is like people said that this is like a bad meta for Toronto, but do you actually think it is that bad? I know Max, you thought like maybe someone's Orisa wasn't like 100%, but
yeah, my feeling is that like Toronto, like even like if you follow like Florida Mayhem's history in the year before, is that someone is just like not actually that good in like any of these push pull metas. Like Mayhem was bad in the Junker Queen meta this year. Florida, this year around Toronto was like shit in the Mauga meta. Like they looked really bad. Like when Mauga was really good earlier in the year, I think like someone is just consistently not very good at these like push pull ground tanks, and then like Orisa is an extension of that. And then like I watched it, and he was just making these fucking egregious mistakes like throughout some of the series. Like not so much with push pull, but I mean it's like you know in the New Junk City versus Nightmare, like he just goes and stands on the point and fights a Genji for 30 seconds. Like Infected has Terra Surge, and for someone is 50%. You know, like you wouldn't expect that from the guy that gets gassed up as the best fucking tank in the entire universe all the time. You know. So I feel like someone is definitely a weak point for them this meta, because usually he's like a super strong point. So he's just average. That's a huge underperformance for him.
I think that's a better way, because I don't think he's like awful at it. Like if we were to rank all the Orisas in North America and EMEA, I reckon he'd still probably be in like the upper echelons. But
he's not in like attack low, like let's be real.
Yeah. But on his heroes, like the Sigma, the Winston, I feel like he never makes egregious mistakes. And if anything, he's making carry plays all the time. And I feel like, to be fair, ultimately, good plays at the end of Lijiang Tower, right, to kind of clutch out for Toronto. I think someone a big part of that. But yeah, you never see these big errors. There was one on like King Throw as well, you know, where he just ints in thinking he's body blocking Infected, but he's just hard peeking the entire team and just gets one shot. And I feel like you never see this out of someone. I feel like Merit wasn't that impressive either. Like, I feel like, again, not particularly good in like the macro side of things, and just like an okay hit scan performance, all things considered.
Yeah, I think Mara had a slow start to our grand finals, but I mean, you put him on Gibraltar and he kind of just took over the lobby.
Yeah, give us take that Widow.
Yeah, he can have the Widow. He can have the Widow map. Like, I don't care.
Because my theory, maybe it's like one of those classic like narrative theories where you just like confirmation bias yourself. But I feel like somewhere where like every time this Toronto team, I feel like exactly what you're saying, Max, about when it was like Mauga meta, or even a little bit when I think it was the Ram meta. The second this team no longer feels it's possible to swap and they're just stuck in mirror metas, and this team looks like so beatable, like compared to what we saw at EWC, where they actually felt really, really elite. But maybe you're right, where it's like actually it's more like the nature of push pull that they struggle with, as opposed to like when they're not constantly grinding out like a comp advantage. Because I expected them to play a bit more of the Zen. Whenever they swapped to fucking Zen and stuff in scrims, always give us fucking AIDS. Like it was like so annoying. And I feel like that would make sense, right? You've got like RuPaul and Brig, but then all of a sudden we start to swap his hero depending on what you're playing. That can cause problems. But it felt like, obviously, apart from the last map, you guys really had them like pretty like well downloaded in like the, I guess what we call it, the meta mirror.
Yeah, not gonna lie, we were so like we were so happy when we were able to pick Li Jiang and like take the, because we knew they didn't want to mirror the meta. So to be honest, like us losing was really just on us. Like we had the like everything fell into place for us to win, and we still lost. Like I mean, fair play to them, they beat us on the meta comp, but I think like um
It was
we should have had that on paper.
Did you feel like you guys were choking on that final map? Because it was like watching it all back, it was like, oh wow.
Yeah, there was some
really,
some horrendous decisions. No offense, I was not trying to like rub salt in, but like there was some like decisions.
Just
where,
an
like,
outcome,
yeah, you just like you just have to run away from the ult. It's like so free. Like they use it so early, and you guys are just like fuck it, nah, fuck it. We're like sending it, like going in. I felt somewhere that like if it was like map 2 in the series, you would be able to like keep it calm. Where it was just like, yeah, there was like a few moments where I was like, yeah, like I felt bad because it was just that you just allowed everything to just be like a 5-on-5, like fucking who shoots himself in the head with deflect fight, you know?
Yeah, I mean, me personally, like that series, I think, like towards the end, I couldn't really tell if we were like nervous or like choking because I was kind of only focused on myself. I know for a fact, like Esperanca, the map before Li Jiang, I was like nervous, you know, like we were up 3-2, like we could
Chris
win.
Fury.
I got a little bit nervous, but Li Jiang, like I wasn't that nervous. So I don't know, maybe we just made poor macro calls in the heat of the moment. Maybe that's why we lost.
Yeah, it's one of those things that's really hard to like pinpoint. Like you can't tell of a moment, but it's just like it felt to me watching back as well. If I compare Li Jiang Tower to all the other maps you played the mirror, that was like way worse than all the other ones, you know.
I mean, looking back on it, like I remember, like we had ult advantage, but we knew they wanted to like push our spawn to like force a 5v4 because we had a touch point. Yeah. I had so much time to like stay with my team and like kill them, but like people are screaming like in the VC like touch point, and it's like we still have like 13 like seconds left, and so I just like run to point instead of like killing their entire team with my team. It's like I don't know. I don't think that would happen in map 2. You know, I don't think we'd be screaming like touch point when we have that much time left if it was map 2. So I should have made a better judgment call, I think. So maybe it was nerves. I don't know.
In scrims versus Toronto, I'm presuming you scrimmed like up until the week, like because we did that. We scrimmed against like the day before the tournament started. Like, how were your scrim results? Like, did you feel even going into the playoffs that you could beat Toronto, especially on the mirror? Was that like a?
Oh yeah, I remember. I think the day of quarterfinals when we were gonna play TSM, we warmed up Toronto. Like we were playing Rune Sapi, they had like a 120-meter lead. We had like 30 meters, and we still came back and like won the map. Like we were super comfortable on the Orisa comp, like versus Toronto. Like, and we had like pretty decent scrim results versus them. So like, we were pretty confident come match day that we could beat them if it came to it.
Should we shit on NRG then? Because I mean,
yes.
So they actually
can I get the screen share up? Can we do a podcast attack review session? The replays are gone.
I think I know the map you want. Yeah,
it was that fucking Li Jiang. Oh my god.
So yeah, because NRG do really badly, but they make Stockholm anyway. So they still make Stockholm courtesy of Nightmare, but. They lost to Fluffy Aimers, Fluffy Dreamland, whatever you want to call them, in groups. And then they got the rematch in the lower bracket here. And they lost even harder. Than they had previously. 3-0. Actually 3-0'd. Not even close. One of the maps was Gibraltar as well, one of the maps, right? Like they just got spanked.
Fucking Kellen.
Is there a case for Astronex being one of the best Orisas in NA?
He's been playing it all year. I think
he seems fucking insane at that hero. Like compared to the dogs that he was playing against, you know, when he's going up against attack, I guess anyone can look good on Orisa. But like he looked really good.
Asher has a strong Orisa on him, I think he was definitely one of the better North American players. I also think for NRG, like it's really hard to play Orisa on ping. Like from what Infected's told me, like I think Kellen in attack, like you just have 2 Korean like tanks, like it's just super hard to
Are they not in America?
No,
No.
they're not. They're in
You
Korea.
thought NRG would have them over here? You're crazy, dude.
I mean, I just assumed that they wouldn't be fucking suicidal enough to play them on ping.
Oh,
Did they
what-
never come over?
Nah. I think Tree said either they're
Really?
gonna actually. Yeah, I think they might come for
Some boot camp.
some like boot camp stuff. But no, the entirety of stage 3, stage 4, they're in Korea.
Can we flame it then? And I didn't even know this. I want to flame this. Like, is attack the worst use of a fucking like Korean import? Possible?
No, because he won them stage 3. He like won them
Like the
where
Diva
they
was
got in
mega.
stage 3.
Yeah.
When he was on Diva in stage 3 and they beat Toronto and got to grand finals, that was because of attack. Like attack genuinely solo carried Blizzard World and won them that map and got them over the line. Like they were so fucked on Blizzard World, and attack just like multiple fights went and killed 3 players like by himself on Diva. He did fucking so much on Diva. I don't think he's a waste of an import slot. I just think that they needed Kellen on Orisa.
Who we flaming then? Anyone to flame here?
Rack attack.
Rack attack.
Yeah. I think that was just such an easy series to pick the low hanging fruit and just flame people with attack in their name, to be honest. Because like you watch that shit and my God, those guys made some crazy mistakes on the first map. I've already forgotten the next 2. Like what did they lose to Gibraltar next?
They lost to Gibraltar, right, with Kellen in. To a
How'd they
Diva.
manage-
And
how'd
then
they
they
manage
lost
that?
to Rena Sappi with like a clutch Rena Sappi. They lost Gibraltar the last time as well. And these guys actually just relived the series from groups, picked a lot of the same maps, and lost in similar
same
ways.
way.
Yeah, unfortunately. I don't know. If it was just like a failure at all points, you know what I mean? There's not like I was going through Reddit earlier. Tree got a lot of flame for this like last play, but I don't think it was really Tree's fault in particular. The whole team kind of just like bad plan, right? Like, who do you blame if the team's bad at macro and just losing all these fights?
Coach. Who's the coach of NRG?
GM.
Weeds.
GM?
Albert, yeah.
Yeah, I blame Albert Moneyball. Yeah,
I'll pay that.
Yeah,
I'll
sorry.
pay that.
I think it's got to be all his fault. Is
Who
Weeds
is the
their coach?
NRG coach?
It's
I think
Weeds,
it's- I
right?
think
It's
Weeds, right?
Weeds, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm for sure flaming Weeds for that one.
Yeah, because that team is like Winthrop light, right? Like they've got
It's just
lots
Winthrop
of-
without infected, basically.
yeah,
Yeah, PG.
yeah. When he comes in for a little pocket May swap, but you know,
Oh, fucking May. Well, PG got loads of hate. I think that's maybe just like, I don't know if it any like the May was definitely egregious, but it was also only like 80 seconds of the entire series, you know? I feel like PG got all the hate because he was like he's the famous one, you know? So if they do good, it's all him. If they do bad, it's all his fault.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
I think you go.
I didn't really watch the series because I had a warm-up scrim at that same time. But like, I think throughout that season in general, like I was very confused on why like NRG like did a lot of the things they did. Like I'm pretty sure if they played scissors like majority of the season, they would have had enough points to qualify even if they got 5th through 6. So I'm a bit confused on
I
that.
think that's what happened in groups. Is they were trying to point max initially, and I think Tree
Yeah.
wasn't playing, but because they started losing to Fluffy, they like pivoted to Tree, and they're like, let's just play to win instead, right? Maybe.
Yeah. I think that's what happened. It's just like even
no, it was-
then, like, wouldn't you rather have Tree on hitscan maybe where he's more comfortable and like put scissors on like Genji like or Pharah like surely
I
he's
think
good
maybe
at those heroes.
maybe they just rated PG higher on the hard hit scan or something, or they thought that the gap between Tree Genji and Scissors Genji was like too big. Like, Tree's too good at this, so let's just put everyone on their best. Like they thought that was the highest skill matchup on average, you know, because Tree's just going to be the best at both of their roles more than likely, unless it's like a Widow duel. I'd imagine that Tree's probably going to be better at both heroes like all the time because he can walk around.
Yeah, maybe.
Well,
He's
NRG,
definitely got legs.
Yeah.
were they shitting scrims as well, NRG? Like, do you think it was like fluffy, whatever the fuck, they're like
Famous.
kryptonite? Or like, would they have actually also lost to most of the other like top 16s?
Would they have lost like TSM or something?
I don't know. I remember scrimming NRG and like I think like at the beginning of the scrim it was like utter domination. We were just like destroying them. But like I think as the scrim went on, like I don't know why we kind of got mad at each other. Like so then they started winning maps. But like I don't know, when we were like playing normal, they were pretty like uncomfortable in this meta. I think I I think it was an uncomfortable meta for their backline, and I don't know. It's hard to play with a Korean tank because they're in Korea. Bad ping. It's like really hard.
It's like weird that it's an uncomfortable meta for their backline, no, isn't it? Like I thought, you know, isn't Rack supposed to be like signature hero playing the brig? Isn't that supposed to be like his thing?
Yeah.
I
I really don't know why they did so poorly. Maybe the Fluffy Dreamland may caught them off guard or something. I actually think like maybe if they played TSM in the mirror, I actually don't know how that game would have gone. Maybe it would have been closer.
I definitely feel like some of these teams are like, they're more backline carried than maybe people realize, in the sense that it's like, you know, if you've got someone like Ultraviolet or RuPaul and they get to play like the Ana and the BAP, they get to like flex around to some of these heroes that it's like, they're definitely better than the NA competition on. Like they carry really hard with that sort of stuff. Like the fact that RuPaul can go Ana and just be better than like everyone else in North America on the hero is insanely valuable. But then like these teams also like, they keep losing their Gibraltars. Like Toronto won Gibraltar in the end, but maybe the Gibraltar meta is actually just D.Va. You know, like all these cummy teams like clutching wins on Gibraltar, constantly playing these like weird D.Va like Mickey Mouse comps. Like it just keeps working. Maybe that's actually the meta for the map. And
It actually is 100%, by the way.
Yeah.
You mean it's not this Bulls and Brig comp that we're seeing NRG rock out with here? I thought it was Bulls and Brig.
No, Zen is insane here. I fucking love Zen. But actually, Dive is on this patch that we just played on. Dive is fucking shit, guys. You just need to trust me on this one. It's actually Dive is fucking cooked. If the Koreans try to play fucking Dive into us, it fucking Stockholm, they're actually getting fucking.
I think this meta really was like I think people didn't pay attention to backlines as much as they should. Like I think our team, we had like a really strong backline for this meta. Like I think CJ was definitely the best Juno, and Ollie in general is just super consistent, and like he's a really good teammate to have like in any meta, in my opinion.
I saw Admiral winning dive mirrors and Ilios, and that it might be me that was the problem. You know? I mean, I couldn't get a win for no money out of him on winning on a brig, but you guys are fucking dominating all the Koreans. So
you know when you said
anyone
that can see a list of like the problems with London Dive, who was the problem? Was it the coaching, the mentality, the player? Maybe Admiral was eking himself out of the top of the problem list. It wasn't Ollie.
Like anyone that can win with Seeker on Sombra on Ilios is fucking, they're good in my book. I've watched enough of those Seeker Sombra POVs on stream now to think, geez, you know, like the rest of the team is putting in the fucking work right now. Like, do you see Seeker's EMP on Ilios the second time around?
All I remember is after the map, like I just heard like we EMP'd 0 people.
Yeah, he gets spy checked, starts getting primal, throws his TP into the sky, and just EMPs nothing. He's just a full 0. It's fucking awesome, man.
I mean, I suck at Sombra, so I can't even hold him to that.
He's not lip, for sure.
You know what I think is getting like, because I feel like everyone very keen to shit on NRG, probably rightly so. But is there also a chance that actually in this meta, especially, fluffy aimers are just legit? Like, I feel like Astro's really good on Orisa. Ryan was kind of good for like the cameos he did on like Tracer and Genji. Chime is like an excellent May. I thought Grapes was actually like one of the best brigs in North America. Is there a chance they're not just legit?
No, I agree. And this meta, I think, was really strong for them. Like Astro's Orisa was really good. They played a bit of a May comp, which most teams weren't playing, so it like would catch teams off guard. Like Chime's also best year is May, and then Grapes, like I remember talking to Vega about it. Like Grapes on Brig this meta was like actually pretty,
it was unreal.
Yeah, it was pretty strong at Brig. So I think this meta was like really good for them. I think they were legit. Like it was a macro meta. They, you know, Astro every day, like after scrims, he's in VC, like in our friend group server, like voting and like talking to Vega, talking to me about like the meta, and he was working really hard. So yeah, no, Fluffy Dreamland this meta, I think they were a serious competitor, and it could have been them beating TSM playing us, you know.
It's the new American Tornado era culture, you know. Not suggesting that you guys are like American Tornado, but you know, it's the new generation of like the younger next up players that all fucking hop in voice for 12 hours a day and just sit there, like flaming each other's bods and playing the game constantly and shit like that. It's the new guard of North American Overwatch with all the young kids that actually still want to play the game and put in the work. I think that's like that'll be the biggest problem for Toronto. You know, like if Toronto keeps their roster going into the next year or whatever, there'll definitely be those issues where like, you know, people are maybe a little bit less hungry than they used to be. I think someone like Vega's always grinding it out and stuff like that. But I wonder if some of the older players, you know, like your Merits, your someone's, your RuPaul's, like RuPaul still puts in the work as well, but he's been doing it for so long. I wonder if they're reaching the end of their tether for it, because everyone does eventually, right? Everyone gets bored of grinding the game for 14 hours a day at some point. It's just a question of when.
Yeah, I mean, if things keep going the way they're going, like I think for sure, you know, Toronto won't have as much of a successful year unless they like start matching the work we're putting in, you know, or like I think next year if they keep the same team, like there's definitely a high chance they don't like stay at the top for every tournament.
I mean, they don't really have an excuse to not put in the work too, right? Like obviously you can't really fault their level of effort when they've won every single tournament in North America for the year and come second at EWC, right? Like I think they were putting
those layabouts.
We just fucking shit talk Toronto for winning all the time. I fucking love that. But
I do think, you know, there's got to be like a culture trend line though, right? Like you definitely hear more about how Toronto has like stepped off the gas in the second half of the year. Like post EWC, they've seemed way more relaxed about everything is the impression that I get.
Yeah, I agree.
About how much they're practicing and whatnot.
Like they're super good, and like it's not like they don't work hard. Like I think they definitely put in like, you know, work. But like stage 3, I remember Kasora saying, or like someone saying that like they like didn't VOD review at all, you know? It's like,
yeah, there was 0 reviews.
Yeah,
for the whole stage.
if you do 0 reviews, like I don't know. To me, that just means like, you know, other teams are outworking you. Like,
yeah, no, maybe it's time to give Wheats the head coach job on that team. Actually, they're not going to do a single review. Like,
is there an argument? It's a reasonable call on when you look at like the year as a whole. That they ramp up, they start strong, they put in loads of work for EWC, they do really well in that. Then stage 3, stage 4, they know they're probably going to qualify for end of year anyway, so they do enough to make sure they do that. But then they are like saving themselves for this last push for Stockholm. Like, and when you look at it as a year as a whole, they're trying to like pace themselves properly. Yeah,
I think that might be what they're doing, and I think I remember hearing like Kasora saying that, you know, he was like they're pacing themselves, which, you know, makes sense. Like you're probably gonna win NA, like you might as well save up your energy, not get burnt out. Like I think it definitely makes sense on their part.
Yeah, I mean, I saw a lot of discussions online about like what's the biggest tournament of the year, you know, and like the people on Reddit were intensely divided about it because, you know, the Reddit people were like, Stockholm is the premier event of the year, yada yada yada, because nobody likes EWC from like the well, you know, let's call it the ethical standpoint. But and you know, the single elim wasn't ideal either. But I think, you know, to most teams that are playing the game to make a buck, EWC was the tournament of the year because it was the tournament where you're going to make a buck, right? It was the one where you could actually make the most money. For teams winning Stockholm, that's all it's the big international event. That's where all the pride might be at the end of the day. But if you're a professional team, professional being that you're playing the game to make money, then obviously, you know, the biggest tournament of the year has already come and gone. So I guess it's worth considering that it makes sense teams would put in a more relaxed schedule once the biggest tournament of the year is already over.
Well, I think there's also part of it where the reason Stockholm feels a bit bigger now is just because it's the only event on the horizon, right? So it's literally the biggest event scheduled in the future of Overwatch. So it feels like a little bit bigger now than maybe like it would have done back when EWC was actually like on and everything.
Maybe these neon skins, mate, maybe they fucking pop off and actually Stockholm is 10x the EWC.
Do you think how much money did they raise with the Hanzo skin?
Like $40 at least.
It was like a cum low amount in the end, wasn't it? Like,
I don't know why they don't just make like a mercy skin. Like,
I mean,
just do something. Why do we have neon? Why do we have neon Junkrat? Like, please, I don't want that. Like,
I mean, I see. You go.
I was gonna say, do you not think it's also a fumble that they release these skins after stage 4 rather than like during the big event where everyone's going to be watching for all these drops to say, hey, if you're liking this in any way, you can support the scene, maybe buy a skin that you kind of like. There's some kind of I'm no marketing expert. I don't have a degree in marketing or anything, but
I mean,
I feel like there's an opportunity there, maybe.
I mean, it'll transition us onto the TSM segment because obviously they talk a lot about like the scene and stuff. But I mean, I think it's like there are certain things that you just have to accept from like Blizzard at this stage. And I think one thing that you have to accept is that the people who make the IP, the skins, the game, they don't give a single fuck about esports anymore, you know? And like, I'm guessing that like the people from the esports department that actually have to like communicate with the skin team are probably so tilted at how long it takes to get these skins out, because there's no way, like from like inside the business, there's no way this is actually like, I don't know,
their intention.
Let's say like Sean Miller. There's no way Sean Miller's like, yeah, you can hold it for a bit. Like Sean Miller, hopefully, is like on the phone to them, like, please, can we get a skin? And it's fucking Jeff Kaplan or his replacement or whoever the fuck is these.
It's Jeff Kaplan, yeah, that's right.
I think it is Jeff Kaplan. He's the one who's like, mate, I'm sorry to say, these neon skins, I'll have the intern throw them up real quickly, but no guarantee it's here in the next like 4 weeks, you know.
Well, only one of them's a skin, right? Or like only one of them's a new skin. Two of them are just like recolorings of existing skins.
I have no idea, really.
I do think that there's something people don't often recognize with all of the, you know, the crowdfund skins, and people can always say like, I wish that they would give teams skins more often. I wish they would put skins into the game that the teams could then benefit from, stuff like that. I feel like what isn't recognized with that, and what people constantly ignore, is that like it costs the developer, like it costs the publisher lots of money to make the skins. It costs them lots of time. And it's like for any skin that they could put in the game that teams could benefit from, they could just put that same skin in the game and teams don't benefit from it. So then they get to make more of a profit. You know what I mean? No. In order to give teams a benefit, obviously they need to take a cost. Yeah, exactly. They need to sacrifice a percentage of their own earnings to do it. So I definitely understand the side where it's like they don't actually want to do this because it just represents a loss for them, right? I think it's really obvious that they don't make any money off the esports side of the game. So you know, there's always this interest in maintaining esports because teams or publishers want to have some sort of an esports scene for their game. But I think Overwatch has kind of come and gone through their big publisher investment into Overwatch esports. Like they've had their run with Overwatch League, and OWCS is definitely the intensely budget version of that. You know, like let's keep something going, but it's not going to be anything big. So I think if they weren't going to do it for Overwatch League, you know, doing like more exclusives and more revenue sharing and stuff like that, it's really unlikely to expect to see it in OWCS. And then people are like, oh, why can't we get something easier then, like titles and banners and stuff like that? Because there's no like, you know, they already tried a buy-in publisher model, right? Like with Overwatch League, they already tried to do like a buy-in partnership program where you can just buy into the model and have skins and have all that sort of stuff in the game. They're probably not going to do that for the more grassroots model that they have now, because the orgs come and go so quickly. It's all so unstable. If there's no buy-in fee, there's no like fixed orgs that are always in the tournaments. Like, how do you put cosmetics in the game for teams that come and go so quickly when you've already shown that you're not super interested in putting stuff in the game for your esports teams?
I think too, like one thing that's been spoken about a lot is I think Blizzard is more protective over their IP than like any company, especially when it comes to Overwatch. And there's like a lot of games who are like, are we gonna go fuck? Like you just have like a TSM skin, like and sell it, like we'll like throw it on. Like there's games that like maybe it's even COD, but there's games where they allow the teams to actually create it. So they say you design a skin, we'll just send it on the shop for you. But I think that level of like hands off, like it never happens with Overwatch. Like they are so like like wanting to be in control of everything. Maybe they got burnt by doing an MVP skin or two in the past where like they've started to regret it. So yeah, I don't know. I think that it's like to me, it's actually like what you're saying, Max, is like it's similar arguments when everyone keeps saying, "Oh, why don't 3 Korean teams go to LAN?" And it's like, I mean, yeah, but like the decision is not being made by someone who's like thinking about the esport. Like there's like incredible levels of like what business bureaucracy going on here, which is just like making these decisions.
Well, people always complain about the format, and it's really easy to fix a format, but all the fixes involve slightly more money.
Yeah.
So then as soon as you start to factor in, well, you need to fix the format. Oh, I've got loads of great ideas to fix the format. By the way, we're only there for 3 days, and this is for budget. Oh, yeah. Well, this is fucking hard now all of a sudden. This is really fucking hard to actually iterate on this.
Do any of you guys remember when Iron was like big on his content creation arc? Like he was doing lots of streaming and lots of like he was debating Jake about 5v5.
Was this a 5v5, 6v6 guy?
Yeah. I remember like I was watching Iron stream and he was talking about like how easy it would be to fix the problem with Overwatch League or OWCS or whatever it was at the time. His solution was literally like, just give each of these teams $1 million. Just give each of these teams $1 million to run their teams. And then if you just give every team $1 million, then they can easily run these teams that will have great content and salary rosters, and everyone will try really hard. And it'll be a great tournament. It's like, okay, so just outlay a couple $1 million here and there to give to a bunch of teams, and then everything will be fine because the teams will play. It's like, just because the company earns billions of dollars doesn't mean that they're going to give people millions of dollars for free. You know, I get the feeling that's not really how it works, but you know, that's Iron economics for you. That's what you get when you drop out of collegiate. That's the level of understanding that you'll wind up on. Never leave school, Zeruhh. If you're still in school, don't leave.
Unless someone gives you $1 million to run an esports team, then leave immediately.
In which case, take that shit.
Yeah, I'm out. Like.
Should we talk about it then, I guess, in the context of TSM? Because TSM is actually a very interesting team this stage because they have both won, lost, and then immediately the orgs dropped the team. But they've also really manipulated the circuit point situation as much as they possibly can. So maybe we start on like the org side of it first, where TSM, unsurprisingly, dropped out from supporting the team. Really, from reading all the tweets from like Cap and from Rocket, it feels like actually everyone was overwhelmingly positive about TSM, even though their org maybe has like a less good reputation from other games and some of their previous partnerships. Actually, everything seemed positive from the Overwatch team and the players, but they dropped out. And maybe what was most interesting was this Reddit post from their general manager, who talked about essentially why they dropped out when they came in for EWC. If I can make this readable for everyone, maybe, if I'm good. Maybe I can't. It won't go any smaller. But essentially, the TLDR of it is a lot of what we were saying. No skin support, nothing like this. No vision of what's going to happen next year, which I think I saw, maybe it was the Virtus Pro manager also like echoing on Twitter of like, what am I meant to tell my bosses about whether they should stay invested or not when I have no idea what next year looks like?
Yeah, well, I think this is now like the second like EWC org, which is gone now, right?
Fnatic.
Gaming Gladiators and Fnatic also gone basically once their team has stopped being competitive. And presumably, like my feeling is when we purposely played a shit Fury on Junkertown to get VP eliminated, that would also like in theory be the end of VP. Like that, I would not be as surprised to see like a goodbye tweet from that org coming relatively soon. I'm trying to think, in NA, is there any orgs teams that didn't make it apart from TSM? Probably not, right? Like everything.
No, I don't think so. Yeah.
So yeah,
TSM didn't make it. So
maybe every other orgs team is actually still in. What about Korea? Poker Faces and an org. Fnatic's gone. Maybe Zeta. Zeta will go. I'm not sure.
I think these Japanese orgs have like a little more staying power, at least. Like, I think that there's like a way bigger Japanese esports scene, so maybe they're happy to stay.
Yeah.
For that reason. But I don't know. Just overall, I think what's being communicated by the TSM general manager, it's like it's an issue that you would hear from the Overwatch League GMs. You know, when Overwatch League was around, they would always have the same complaint that they'd be between seasons and they'd be trying to assign a budget for the following year. And top down from Blizzard, they wouldn't be getting enough information to really understand the situation and know how much they should be assigning in that budget. Like initially, when it was all high salaried rosters and lots of money every single year, there was just the belief that it was going to work out. You know, there was like the roadmap for it to go to homestands and for them to do this and that. But as Overwatch League and then OWCS has just gone later and later and later, there's just never a plan for the next year in time. You know, you need to make a plan for the off season. You need to make a plan for the start of the year. And if they tell the orgs nothing, which is where they're at, is my understanding, the orgs literally have no information about what's coming next year. It makes no sense at all to sign a team from now until, you know, early, middle of next year, because what are you signing them for? There's nothing to compete in, and the publisher won't give you any information at all about what they're going to host.
Yeah, I think what happened with TSM is just going to happen to every team. Like, I like after Stockholm, I think every team, like even like maybe Nightmare is quite a unique situation because it seems like Flak is unbelievably like Overwatch pilled. Even Toronto, I guarantee like contracts will run out, or at least like I think we'll all be out of contract in SSG. Ents will for sure. And you're just going to get a situation where come like the end of November, 99% of players, even maybe the Korean teams, I'm not sure, are going to become free agents again. And then you're going to get roster mania again when things start to boot back up, if Orgs want to kind of get back into the mix again.
There's really nothing you can do about it, right? Like until Blizzard actually announces the next tournament.
Yeah. Because as an org, why would you even entertain the idea of signing a team to compete in no tournaments? Can I have a salary? Sure. What are you competing for? Oh, nothing yet, but I promise you something's on the horizon. I just want to enjoy Christmas first, and then we'll get right into those tournaments. Yeah. So I don't know. It's all on Blizzard because no one else can provide it. I think that a lot of all the stuff we've been talking about in terms of like the lack of investment, I guess one of the most frustrating things is that Blizzard are still so controlling and quite closed off about don't want to partner with the skins, don't want to do this. We want to be in charge of a tournament schedule, all of this. But at the same time, they want to be in charge, but they don't want to plan very far ahead. They don't want to invest a lot of money. So it sort of feels like at a certain point, should you not just outsource it almost, or like make it a bit more of like, because people talk about this as being like an open market post Overwatch League, but it's not really an open market. No. Blizzard still controls everything. Yeah. So if you want to control everything, or if you don't want to pay for anything, which is fair enough, right? The esports from a business point of view probably doesn't make sense for a company like Blizzard or Microsoft, whoever's at the top of this chain of ownership now. Well, wouldn't just let someone else do it, right? That's what Valve have done for a long time with a lot of their games. Just let tournament organizers take the brunt of it and see if they can make something out of it.
Yeah, I mean the thing is actually what it all bundles down to is when in this like Reddit post here they talk about like partnership programs, but every single partnership program, like even if they said OWCS is coming back, a partnership program effectively involves skins in game or something in game, right?
Some revenue share.
Yeah, like the second that becomes a hard no because Blizzard is never going to allow that into their game again, then I feel like a partnership program actually looks really, really difficult, you know? Like, I don't know. I just don't ever see an SSG skin being in the game or an SSG spray or an SSG anything, you know? I just don't think Blizzard's ever going to go down that route again with their game.
I mean, who knows? Maybe they'll announce something at Stockholm or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
like,
fingers crossed.
To be honest, like, I got no idea what's going on with the Overwatch scene. Like, I just play the game. I don't know. It's kind of sad to see. I want this esport to survive to the point where I can like I'm only 18. I want to play more. You know.
You're on the up.
Yeah. I'm on the up. Like don't die, please. You know. I always wanted to play in the Overwatch League, but I was never like old enough. So.
I mean. The thing is, in reality, is like people are talking about like Blizzard, but it's actually the only reason orgs were in this year is EWC. Like the bigger thing for everyone is like EWC. That's actually really all the orgs care about. Like, are they going to give the same like I don't know what the business word, like the same like incentive where they give like teams like a budget to sign other teams again? Like, do we know if Overwatch is going to be at the EWC? If the answer to both of those questions is yes, I think we'll see the same, if not even slightly more org investment next year than we get this year. If the answer to those questions starts to become no, then I don't know which orgs, like, I don't know which, like, I guess Toronto technically got a team and they weren't in the partnership program. They didn't care about EWC. Like, they went, but I think like that was like a byproduct for them. I guess Nightmare is the same, right? Like, you guys definitely weren't in the partnership program, right? You just qualified and went. So I don't know, maybe you still get like one or two, but I feel like even like 60-70% of the orgs that are in right now, if EW said EWC, which I don't think will happen, but if they did say the worst thing, we're not doing Overwatch next year, that's like the final killer blow, you know? Like, if that happens, then we're genuinely cooked.
Well, it creates a bit of like a smoke screen as well, right? Because if you look at Overwatch, if you look at OWCS this year, and it's like, I see SSG, I see Ents, I see VP are competing, GG are competing, I see all these orgs, Falcons, TM, Crazy Raccoon. I look at it, I see a tournament full of organizations, plus what you'd expect from an open circuit, a few teams like an SR Peak Check or whatever, you know, just some like group of friends, like own brand type thing. But actually, it's all false, right? Not false, but like it's not there because of OWCS.
Yeah, it's there.
OWCS hasn't generated any of this org interest.
EWC has done more to boost up fucking esports across every game than any like developer does. You know, like that's actually it's why what Max was saying about like how the most important tournament was EWC. It is by so many miles. Like I like SSG.
Zeruhh's he's wearing the shirt for it right now.
Yeah, I mean that's
Please come back.
I really think Overwatch will be there, but the question is going to be: do they give SSG or ENTS or whichever teams were in it like X $100,000 to go sign some teams? You know.
It's actually Iron Theory. Is Iron running EWC?
Actually true. He's actually right. It's actually spot on.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Was
there anything else about TSM?
Yeah, I was going to say, should we actually talk about TSM's Overwatch? What's this circuit point situation?
So it's kind of... So Cap talks to me about my interview. I can't remember all the numbers because there's a lot of numbers, but basically... Obviously, as we got to the final stage, it's all about circuit points because winning NA directly and getting a direct qualification, super hard. Expect Toronto to win. So what they did is they blew up the roster because, as you know, with circuit points, if you have a core roster, so you have 3 players from the existing roster and you sign new players, say KSA or something, what you can't do when you sign someone like KSA is SSG can't go above their original max with their new player. So they can't sign players with more circuit points to artificially boost their total. They're capped on that one. But if you get rid of pretty much your entire fucking roster, so you only have 2 remaining players, they can count the new total from all the players. So what TSM did is they blew up their roster except for 2 existing players, signed a load of new players. They done the math to be like, this is the right number of circuit points. Now, if we beat Nightmare, we can overtake them, or we can overtake NRG in terms of qualification, etc., etc. So they actually blew up their entire roster to get the right number of circuit points for to give themselves a shot. And I think the reason this is obviously interesting, because at the start of the year when we talked about circuit points, the idea was power to the players, right? Protection for the players, strength for the players. But in this situation, the correct play, and I think Capitology made the correct play here, right? This was actually he did the math and he said, the mathematical best option is I need to kill most of my team. Icy, I love you. You've been here all year. Dead now. You're dead. The best thing you can do for TSM now is die. So he kills a lot of the core roster, signs a lot of the Luminosity boys who have significant circuit points to bring in. They count as a brand new roster, even though Riker had been on the team before, because he's been off the team and back on the team. He still counts as a new player, all of this. So they do the math, they get more circuit points to give themselves the shot. So I think the big question here for me is, it's actually the exact opposite, I think, of the circuit point intention, right? Where the circuit point intention was supposed to protect the players, promote roster stability. Yet here we are at the 11th hour, and TSM are blowing up their roster to sign players for like one last shot at it.
Before we talk about the circuit point, did you ever feel like TSM could beat you? Like, you kind of stumped them, right? Like, it was never really in doubt.
Yeah, I mean, like on paper, like before, like, you know, we really like scrimmed like a lot for stage 4 and like really got used to the meta. It was like, okay, you know, Liar Squid, like, you know, King, Vision, Riker, like Rocket. It's like a strong, like a pretty strong roster on paper. Like, you know, like I think the talent's there. Like, so I knew like, all right, the only way we lose is if we don't work hard enough. And like, but I mean, I knew like once I heard like, oh yeah, Lyra only wants to scrim once per day. Like that's all he's fine with. I'm like, yeah, no, we're gonna beat them. Like if they're scrimming once per day, like they don't really care. Like even when we scrim them, you know, like we would scrim them, we'd beat them up, and then like they'd start off rolling or something. Just like yeah, like come match, the only way we lose is we lose to ourselves, you know. So but we had played LAN qualifying matches in the past. Like we know how it goes. Like we were ready to not choke, whereas I think we knew they were going to be super fucking nervous, like really shaky. So yeah, I knew we were going to beat them.
Yeah, I think like overall it was probably still like a shot in the dark, or like it was still a long shot for TSM. It's just it just feels like
I guess if you put yourself in a position to do one best of 5 to get there, that's pretty much all you can ask for, right? Like considering where they were.
considering the position all the other teams had.
Like
Yeah.
I think they really set themselves up for like the best chance possible.
Yeah.
Like in the group stage, they're playing versus Citrus, and I'm watching, and I'm like, they're just gonna throw the match. Like they're just gonna throw the match to play us first round. You know, like the dodge Toronto side of the bracket, play us first round, try and send us to losers. Like it's like the most obvious thing. And then I see Vision playing May, and I'm
Tracer,
like, yeah, there it is. Like they're throwing the match so they can play us. You know, like
setting up a perfect bracket.
Like in scrims, like we had played that before. Like it works. Like you're just capping, man. Like I really think they did set themselves up as much as they could for success in their bracket, but I mean, at the end of the day, like they just didn't try that hard, in my opinion.
Spent too much time doing the math and not enough time in the server.
Theory.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like we can maybe talk about it more in EMEA as well, because obviously we'll hit the Twisted Mind situation. But I feel like the circuit points, there's like some inherent problems that if the optimal play for a team in stage 4 is to blow up their roster, seems like counterintuitive, you know, to what the system wants. And I think also just the fact that it's like, it creates stakes, you know, so like your opening game against, you know, Nightmare against TSM was a super high stakes game, but it's like a very convoluted high stakes game. And I feel like that was a problem all weekend where there was loads of really high stakes, but lots of people didn't understand the stakes.
Yeah.
And the stakes were almost like nonsense. If you know what I mean, like it's like they're high stakes because it means one team qualifies, one team doesn't. But the reason we're in this situation doesn't super track, you know? Like I think, I don't know. I mean, I think ultimately I'm happy with the 3 teams that have gone from NA. I think these are the 3 teams that deserved it. So I'm happy with the result, but I don't know if I'm happy with how the system works getting us there. Yeah. You know?
I feel
I don't know. I feel somewhere. I don't know. Like the circuit point system, it's actually really, really difficult to create a good one, you know, because I feel like so many of the intentions behind the system were pretty good, right? Like it's like the worst thing that can happen is the org gets all the power, and then you have a situation where, especially if you're one of these like cummy orgs, like an EXO org or something, you can just cut everyone and send you players, and then they can go slam when they didn't qualify, you know. And then obviously what you don't want is the inverse. And it's funny because it actually felt somewhere that the circuit point system was kind of like not causing any issues. And then I think the TM one is fucking crazy. I also feel Blizzard are so unlucky that they're like, what are the fucking odds that your sub player only plays in stage 4 and needs that one map, you know? Like it's like so unlucky.
It's nonsense. Yeah, it is like it, yeah.
Yeah, Blizzard are so fucking unlucky because like actually the circuit point system looks fucking shit because TM are then put in a genuine situation where they effectively have to not try as hard to win as they could, you know? Like they actually have to play at the moment, like this is not the classic EB train, but what they would consider the inferior player for this meta because they had to, you know? And I guess like somewhere, whatever system you create, you can never have a situation where a team is not incentivized to try their 100% best to win, right? Like this is exactly what you guys talking about with the TSM situation, right? Like all of a sudden there's like situations where teams are like
incentivized to throw groups.
Like or like not like tried 100%. I feel like with the team, I feel like they must have been so lucky. Like the actual like to play that many maps and have it work out like that.
It's the stupid thing. Well, because they took a map off you, that fucked them.
Yeah.
Well, it didn't fuck them in the end, but it meant if they didn't take that map off you the first time, they would have only needed you to play 3 maps.
Yeah,
and then even then,
what they would have to do is just go down with the ship,
just lose. You know? Because in reality, what we really had, even though that game was super high stakes, I guess we can kind of transition to EMEA here, but like because that game was super high stakes, it was interesting, right? But it wasn't actually good because Twisted Minds were actually pretty good in this meta.
Yeah,
we didn't get to see Twisted Minds really test SSG because SSG famously struggle a bit into the Pharah. Twisted Minds always play the Pharah. What an interesting matchup we have to be. just kidding. There's this weird circuit point situation. So Yubi's going to have to play and try and clutch out a map to save his chances team of Stockholm. So it's exciting in a different way, but for no discernible reason that tracks with any like competitive reasons or best teams wanting to beat the best teams.
And it's also a shame because, by the way, that Saturday, it was the same night. That Saturday was like the Saturday of Overwatch. Like every game was fucking insane on that Saturday. But when VP played TM, that felt like that was ironically that was a bigger game than the fucking grand finals of us against ENCE, you know, because like I think most teams would say you'd rather qualify to Stockholm than win the stage, you know, like it's you want to be at the events more than anything, more than the money. And it kind of sucks that circuit point system meant that like that game actually didn't necessarily matter, because it should have been like, because that TM VP series was fucking crazy as well, by the way. Like, oh my fucking god, like both Widowmakers just taking it in turns to just like to do bits, as the kids say, you know. I don't know, like it sucks that like a VP warmed us up the next day, because there was some incentive for them, like even after they've been knocked out, you know. But I guess kind of in a way, I think TM won the game against VP, right? So you would say that, I guess, like
was just as
TM
done.
Deserved, yeah, I guess so. As much as maybe people don't see TM winning as justice, I think they should go because they won a stage and they beat VP here.
Yeah, I think if you look at like big same, if you do the same thing with North America, right? Like, did it feel the fairest way everything worked out? I don't know if it was the fairest way, but the top three teams felt like they should have been the top three teams, right? Could you really make an argument in North America any team deserved it more than NRG, Nightmare, and Toronto? Probably not.
No.
And then if I look at EMEA, well, obviously SSG and ENCE have to be at the top of everyone's list. Really hard to argue no teams don't deserve to go. And then I do the Twisted Minds versus Pro equation. And it's like, well, the circuit points system is designed to reward people through the entire year. And Virtus Pro didn't exist for half a year. So Twisted Minds, they've won a stage. They did all right. Was it fourth in stage 3? And then they came, third here? Third here. Yeah, they beat VP in the final one. Right? So it actually seems that the teams that are going from all regions actually feels like we got the right teams based across the year. But it also feels like there was a huge degree of nonsense involved in the situation that was set up. And I think that's the thing, because we had the same complaint at Esports World Cup with Zeruhh will remember the tiebreaker situation in groups, right? And there's like similar thing. There's some logic to the system, but it just becomes so convoluted and confusing to understand. It's just bad, you know. I was kind of annoyed at the broadcast on Thursday and Friday, because whenever they would interview players after the game, they would say like, oh, we'll have to see how that works out for circuit point situation. And I was like, well, can't you tell me? You're the broadcast, you know, like, I mean, to be fair,
who knows?
I didn't do the math either, right? But at the Esports World Cup, when they employed me, I did the math. I did the math for those group tiebreakers, even though it was a fucking pain. So I was like, please do the math and tell me, because it's really confusing and convoluted. I do have an element of sympathy, but it's really fucking AIDS to figure this stuff out, you know? And ultimately the fix to this is to have a system with greater clarity, and that's just easier to understand for the viewers and all of this. But it just felt like when I was watching this series, I was actually pretty convinced this was the playoff. Like winner just goes to Stockholm, which wasn't the case.
It should have been, right. Like everyone thought that. And then it was like, oh, they need 3 maps, so they'll qualify by just losing. And then it was 4 maps, and when it was
send it to Trevor. Like, stop the count. Get some more maps in there. Fuck, like there's 4 maps.
And it was, to be fair, it was unbelievable cinema. You know, like the actual like stipulations of like UB has to take a map against KSA and all of this shit. Like you actually couldn't have scripted it anymore. Like actual like heel versus fucking babyface like WrestleMania shit, you know. But yeah, I think that, I guess like somewhere from like a sports purist, it should have been that Super Saturday should have ended with like the VP heartbreak, and then TM should have been qualified.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, any system where it's like this confusing, I'm just not a fan of. Like even as a player, like as a viewer, it must be like actual like AIDS. Like I remember after we beat Fluffy Dreamland, like Infected pings the team. He's like, guys, I just did the math. Like, we fucking qualified. And then like 5 minutes later, he's like, never mind, I lied. Like, I got it wrong. I'm just like, okay, well, thanks for getting my hopes up for nothing. Like we still have to like, you know, potentially play TSM in like a fucking barn burner, even though we just got like top 3. Yeah, like.
Yeah, I think it's really reasonable for the teams to want to know the stakes of the game they're about to play. Like,
yeah.
I mean, to be fair, like Trev, who is always the man solving these problems on the field, Trev did figure it out the day beforehand. So when Twisted Minds played in this series against Virtus Pro, they knew the situation essentially.
They did?
You know? Yeah, they did. So they like went into this series knowing that. Based on however many maps there were, they need to win, but based on how many maps there were, that would force UB to try and catch up. I mean, to be fair, Trev did do the math wrong. Or somebody did the math wrong, and they corrected it the next day. So it's possible they were told the situation, but thought that they only needed 3 maps no matter what, right? So maybe they were still a little bit surprised. I don't know.
Actually, by the way, if you would be so mad if you actually made your calculations about who to play based on incorrect
and there was
maps.
like one number wrong.
God, you'd be so mad.
Yeah, because people were telling me that like my chat was going off in Twitch chat, like, and I was like, I don't know, guys. Are you sure this is the system? I don't know. Like, maybe you guys are the clients. But it turned out the chat had it right, and fucking Trev had it. Poor Trev, he had it wrong by a map. But it's just like, I mean, it's exciting. I think it's fair to say, like me and Hunter, when we were covering it live, just. Trev is typing in the Discord. What's he gonna say? What's he gonna say? He said they only need 3 maps. Wait, he says, Trev says, hold our horses. Hold. Trev's typing again. Oh, Trev's not typing. Trev's typing again. I mean, it's exciting, but it's ultimately nonsense, right? Like, it's all just nonsense.
Yeah, I think it's all fun for 15-minute segment on a co-stream where you're like, we're trying to get the final ruling to find out who really wins from the outcome of this series. But the reality is they could have done all the maths in advance. Like Trev did do the maths in advance. I think he fucked it up, you said. But all the maths could have been done in advance, and then that same calculation could have been given to the broadcast. Maybe we don't have to expect the broadcast to do it themselves. Maybe that's too big of an ask. But there could be some sort of conversation between the tournament organizers and the broadcast, so that then this stuff is all ready, so that then they can explain it as easily as possible. Them going with the cop-out route of let's see how this ultimately impacts the standings. It's maybe a part of the production could be running people through the standings in the least confusing way possible, because people, the average viewer, is not going to enjoy the 15-minute pause for circuit point calculation. They just want to know, is my favorite team going or not right now? What needs to happen for my favorite team to go? But it always had to be an amendment tweet after the matches or something like that. You need to see the Overwatch Esports tweet, basically tweeting clarifications, and that's the first people hear of it, and that's shit. It should definitely be better so viewers can actually understand it.
You want it in the moment, right? You want when the cart goes over the line in Rialto and Twisted Minds win the series. You want to know if you're that Twisted Minds fan, which from reading Reddit, there's 0 from what I understand. But but if you're not sold Twisted Minds fan, what you want is you want to celebrate. My team have done it. We're going to Stockholm. We're going to get our shot at the major.
Yeah. Swing and a miss. They can do that in OWCS 2025,
Yeah.
So the other part of this that we should talk about, because we're on EMEA, so there is an SSG on top section. So we'll start on a positive for SSG. Obviously, SSG lose the upper bracket final quite convincingly, actually. It felt like Ents had your number, and then you switch something, you adapt, you overcome, and you most certainly have Ents' number in the grand final. So what changed?
Not a huge amount. I think from the Saturday game, I actually think, Zeruhh, did you play on the Sunday? Did you play 2 games, right? You played
Yeah, we played 2.
What do you think about this? I think it's actually really nice to play 2 games. I think you pump out so much of your nervous adrenaline in the first series that actually by the time you get to the second series, you kind of chill. Us before the Ents game, we were mate, we were just fucking eating our fucking sandwiches or whatever, and we were just fucking chilling. It didn't actually feel like it was a grand final for us. Whereas for Ents, it would have for sure been the opposite, right? They've just come off the warm-up screen. They've got that horrible 50-minute break where everyone's talking about whatever. I feel somewhere like it's not just being warmed up. I think somewhere is like, because I don't know how your comms were. I guess towards the end of the grand finals you were nervous, but were you more nervous at the start of the TSM game than like most of the Toronto series?
I was more nervous at the start of the TSM game. Yeah, like I
Yeah.
feel like throughout the Toronto series, like no one was nervous. Like everyone was just like we were just playing the game. Like we weren't expected to win. Like they took us Ilios again. Like we won. We're like okay. Like I guess we can. Like
Yeah,
we're
I
chilling
think
out of now.
we were the same, you know. Like I don't think we were really nervous for TM, but you can feel like the adrenaline and like the nervous energy is different, you know. Like we felt like
Yeah.
both times where we've like slaughtered ends, like I think when we beat them in Dallas too, it was the same. Like we would like just for whatever fucking reason, we were just calm. And like when we play like calm, organized Overwatch, we're really good, you know. So for us on the Saturday, like when we reviewed it, it felt like all of our Mei versus Genji stuff, even though we lost the maps, it was unlosable maps, you know. Like actually, we don't need to fix like the theory or change anything. We just need to not make these like mid-fight mistakes that we made. And I think for us, we spent a lot of the time trying to figure out the Pharah because that was the one where like when they played Pharah, it was like, yeah, you guys are actually getting fucking shit on here. And I think we got like insanely lucky in a way because we felt like our solution was the BAP. That was like the most like happy solution that we'd found on. And on the first map of Nepal Village, Landon solo kills Kev twice on the BAP, like fucking like kills him once, like outplays Barrage and kills him, and then another time sneaks up behind him, fucking one clips him, right? And I think from that moment, Kev was like, I'm not playing Pharah into his BAP anymore. And he actually gave up for most of the series trying to make it work. Like on King's Row and stuff, when Landon would swap in spawn to BAP, Kev would just get off the Pharah. And actually for us, it was like, okay, we really want to play against the Genji because that's like where like 95% of our prep work has gone into is like we kind of realized from scrims that we were going to fucking play Ent in the final and we were going to play against the Genji. And it causes a lot of problems in that week of scrims. But actually, like those were like some of those like classic like Atlanta dive where like every scrim we're like, oh yeah, okay, fix this ult theory, okay, fix this neutral theory, fix this, and then we kind of like eventually felt like we had like a kind of like a decent read of how to beat the Genji.
Do you think Ents dropped the ball then essentially? Because it did feel like, oh, SSG, they have a fix, they can go Baptiste, but it was like, does it actually hard fix it? Like on maps like King's Row, where it's still really good, does the BAP actually fix it in like a sort of black and white fashion?
Because
I feel like they didn't really test
their King's Row attack, they like snowballers all the way to third, then they swap, and then they eventually cap at ults. And then for the rest of the map, they just play Genji because they knew as if they defended with Pharah, then we would counter it with BAP. And actually, to be honest, I actually think the BAP's pretty good against the Pharah. I think it makes sense in a lot of ways, you know? But I also don't know yet if it was a fucking insta-fix, you know? Like, I think we got really, really lucky that in the moment, and maybe, I'm guessing we'll talk about this, but like, one topic of conversation has been like, can you win coachless? You know, was the lack of a coach from this team like one of like the damaging decisions? Like, there's actually a really interesting end segment that we can get to. But yeah, like for us, it felt we really, really liked the matchup against the Genji. We knew like we had it all. Like it was classic. Like you would have fucking loved it, X, mate. All of our like ult plans, like the neutral, that we had it all. It was like classic us in a brawl mirror. And then it just ended up and it was like 90% of the series we got that matchup that we wanted, you know.
I feel like just eye test, it did look like the BAP was just fixing the Pharah, you know? Like Pharah wasn't like this absolutely unbeatable god tier broken pick. It's like definitely better into the Mei, but then like you take Landon onto the BAP and then suddenly that advantage has gone back to equal, you know? If it's not like fixing the Pharah, like countering the Pharah, it's just bringing it back to like a neutral situation.
I agree. Yeah,
and you won, like if you can neutralize it, then like you were winning the big ult trades, you were winning the fights that mattered at the end of the day. So like that's all you really needed. You just needed it to be back on level footing rather than you getting counted out for picking Mei. I mean, I watched your scrim a couple of days before, like I watched your Ents block and I think your Toronto block as well, and like you were getting farmed by the Genji, like actually like full farm by the Genji, not the Pharah. But apparently that was just a day of mental implosion or something, or you know, you were like one little block of Chris theory away from having it all figured out, because
actually
that's how you get to the fix. That's how
you need to lose, you know.
And you know what Ents didn't have? Ents didn't have any Chris theory. They didn't have their one
no adaptation
to get over the line. And I mean, that's those huge shoes that Crimzo left behind, really.
So I guess is that like the easiest place to point the finger at Ents then, rather than because it didn't feel like anyone on Ents played particularly badly, really, like across
Yeah.
this series, or there was any like huge red flags. But I guess if you're in this meta, and this happens quite a lot, right, where Team A will play Team B, and then Team B will review Team A after losing, and they go, okay, here's how we counter what they're doing. Then they scrim again, and now Team B beat Team A, and it sort of like ping pongs back and forth of both teams adapting. I guess the question is, how robust does Entz's version of that look without a coach?
Well, the first thing is, I'm fucking glad we won, because it would really suck.
You got coach capped by no one?
Yeah, two tournaments in a row. These don't even have a coach and they beat me, you know? That would really fucking, it wouldn't do well for the Chris Fury stocks, okay? So I'm glad, I'm glad we won. Yeah, I think one thing that I was thinking the other day when I was thinking about how we're going to talk about Ents is, remember in stage 2 when we also won, when Big Gumbo was in charge? What ended up happening in stage 2 is we were fucking rolling scrims against Ents. We were in a really, really confident place. And Gumbo started to just like plan B shit. So he started doing, you guys remember the Bastion that they were doing a lot? And all of a sudden, like the Bastion was like, it felt like it was causing at least our sim version of the comp a lot of problems. And one thing I realized was after that stage 2, when Gumbo retired, Ents, no matter if it was Crimzo or no coach, they had what they did and they just went down with it, you know. And Dallas, they just played the mirror for free maps and just got rolled for free maps, you know. Like in like maybe Face It League, it's like it's got an element of Mickey and an element of Mouse to it, but it's like it was the same, you know. Like when we beat them in those series, it was just like both teams are going to play. Whereas we had like plan Bs, like I probably weren't fucking great plan Bs, but we had shit like if we needed it. And then the other thing that's really interesting is, so Max, when you watched the scrim, did you notice their tank player and the differences in the tank player?
No, mate. Like get real.
Okay.
You can't see the skill level of Overwatch by watching, so I have no idea.
Okay, I mean, that was unnecessary but nice. We felt in scrims that Chase was miles better at Rissa, and actually whenever he was playing 70 to 80% of the time. And here's what I think happened is I think after that one game against Peps where they lost immediately on Lijiang, Chase was benched and never seen again. And I think he played 80% of scrims. And my guess is somewhere in the team they've actually just taken fucking Chase out, called him a fucking choking dog or whatever they said to him. And actually they ended up playing, because I actually think Vestel as Orisa is pretty suspect. Like that guy was like finding a way, like he looked like CommanderX. He was getting fucking magic picked on the Orisa, you know? It was like, it was
I played
insane.
one game as Orisa today and this is what happens.
And I think Kalex said it in your interview too, right? Where like actually the one thing
it's
that
a bit
really,
awkward.
Yeah, like players have to
Attention.
choose who, like, because presumably both tanks are like, I should fucking play for sure. Like, come on. And unless they just give like the keys of the castle to fucking Kev or someone, I guess like slightly awkward. And I wonder somewhere if there's like this regret of like practicing with like one tank 99% of the time, or maybe 99. It was like 80% of maps, and then making a decision after one map against this Farah shit on Lijiang to just never put him in again. Like, I think he only played Winston for the rest of the playoffs, right? That feels somewhere that must suck. I imagine Chase wasn't best pleased about the situation either.
Yeah, well, those are the really hard ones, right? Like, it's one thing if you're just like, oh, we need to change this ult fight, or I don't like how we've taken these fights, so we need to change our hold here. I think those are conversations, as long as the team you have people on the team who are willing to put in that effort, that's really possible to do. But I think when you get to these, like, roster decisions, like, who should start out of Chase? Like, maybe it's easy in DPS, right? Because Kev's going to play all the time. Ramon plays if you're playing this comp. Kai plays if you're playing this comp. But with Chase and Vez, they overlap so much. Who do you choose? Like on Ram, on Orisa, on Malga? Like who do you choose type thing, you know? Like, who makes that decision?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I don't know. And they have to do it after losing. So it's really easy to get emotional. And they have 2 minutes to make that decision. So I think somewhere, I'm guessing like most of your swaps on Nightmare are just pre-mapped out, right? Like you rarely do subs in the moment.
Nothing on the fly, yeah.
Yeah. And even if it was, the coaches would make that decision, presumably, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think the team would like have a talk about it, but I mean, we kind of have like just a 5-player system. We just kind of roll with it. Like,
yeah.
Nothing like we always like going into a match. We always have like a plan B if something goes wrong. Like I'm pretty sure if we were down 0-2 to TSM, we're gonna put in lethal. Like I don't know.
He would,
Yeah,
they would do it.
there's actually nothing they can do about
that
that.
would do
There's
it.
nothing they can do about
It would have worked.
that.
Just to like drag it back to NA, because we've got Zeruhh here. Like I don't know if we talked about this at all while I was randomly AFK, but is your team like coach led at all, or is it mostly the players running the show? Because you've got like some more up and comer like quieter coaches maybe, like they don't have a big presence on public discussion. So are they like big personalities in the team, or is it just the players and the coaches are like? Yeah.
Well, we have like I think we're pretty like player led while also having like SNR will like do VOD reviews, and like when we're talking about something like he'll like give input or like like bring up like something. Like he does a good job of keeping us focused on our goals and our fundamentals, and I guess bringing up discussion when we need it. And then our other coach, LNLD, he is really like notes focused. He writes down a lot of notes and like literally just like pages and pages of notes and like examples and screenshots of like I mean it's like I don't know, it makes us read, I guess, so it's good.
Yeah.
But,
Okay, so it's not the type of team, because a lot of teams that have like rosters that have come from Overwatch League and stuff like that, the culture around having a coach is you'll like surrender control of your team to the coach.
no,
what I mean? Like,
it's no Gunba. Like I remember being on the Gunba project team, and that guy was just like Thanos. I don't know.
It's not just Gumbo.
Sounds right.
Yeah, it's not just Gumbo. Like Chris's team will do this. Like most teams that have the like Overwatch League coach guy, like the expectation is that the coach is gonna actually make the decisions for you at the end of the day. Like you roll into the next map and you're asking like, what are we doing next, coach? You know what I mean? But is that not really like the situation that you guys have? It's more like the coaches are, they're trying to like guide you through your improvement, but they're not like these big like decision makers where you're actually relying on them between maps and whatnot to make the hard calls.
Yeah, I'd say
Okay.
that like neither of them have been like Overwatch League or like anything like that. They just kind of
I just
learning
don't
with us,
Yeah, I just mean because it's like the cultural expectation. I think a lot of the Overwatch League players, because like basically every Overwatch League coach, unless you're like you got like the wheat style going on, the expectation is that you tell the team what to do, right? Like the reason that you're getting paid is so that you tell the team what to do, and the team trusts you to make those decisions. And if they don't trust you to make those decisions, then you get fired. But I think like coaches that are more from the tier 2 grassroots level, you're not the head of the team. You're
part of it. You're just like
yeah.
And ironically, the person we turn to the most for like solutions or like like the most like input is Ollie, because he's been like he's been in the highest pressure situations. Like I remember leading up to EWC, like when we're qualifying, we're like, okay, we've never won a Midtown and we haven't scrimmed it in 2 months. Like and Ollie's just like, let me sleep on it. And we choose Midtown, we play Ramatra versus NRG on Sigma, like he said, and we win the map like easily. I'm like, okay, like
they
just let Ollie sleep on it, like he got it.
They consult the admiral, he steers the ship in the right direction. All's good in the
Yeah.
world. It's just it all checks. Unbelievable.
He's definitely the person we turn to the most, I'd say.
I actually love that arc from Ollie. That like now he's
Such a quiet little fucker on like
he's
London, like actual no input.
Andy.
He was
grown up, now
he's like blossomed.
Actually,
I mean, there were always signs, right? Because he was always like the rollout guy. Like I remember there were times where I was like, when we would talk about like our first fights on CoF and stuff, and we part of it like, let's just ask Admiral what's the fastest way. He'll know what to do. I don't need to sit here and try and problem solve it. Ollie, what's the best way to roll out here? Oh, we should do this. Whatever you say, boss, we'll do that. And we'll be first to fucking mid every time, no problem. So I feel like that was the genesis, and now we're seeing whatever comes after the genesis, the fruition.
The Bible.
Yeah, that was biblical knowledge, just like insane.
All right, so I feel like we've left enough time now. We have to get to the situation. We talked about the circuit point situation that Twisted Minds found themselves in, where they just needed, so the stage is set, right? Twisted Minds, they need 4 maps where UB plays, which means, of course, best of 5, you need to win a single map to get yourself over that line. So UB is in for all the maps he needs to play. It starts, and it doesn't look it doesn't look like it's happening, right? The very first map happened, what was it, Ilios? Not happening. Blizzard World, Twisted Minds have a good attack, courtesy of a bit of Quartz Widow, but then SSG hit back, even stronger attack, and they win the overtime. So now it looks like Twisted Minds are fucking cooked. Honestly, I imagine there was at least 2 billion people with a Reddit thread. Now, they hadn't quite posted, but they were ready to post. They were ready. They had it open. They had their title. They were ready to get their slam dunk. And then we go to Junkertown. And then we've obviously, if you've watched previous episodes of Uncoachable, this is now going to be part 2 of the Junkertown Widow discussion, where SSG run into a familiar problem of playing against Widowmaker on Junkertown. Quartz plays pretty well. I think everyone will agree on that part of it. Quartz had a pretty good old game on that. But there seemed to be some disagreement with the tactical decisions here. So I guess it's you start, Chris. You were the mastermind.
I mean,
in charge of this.
It's fucking simple, to be honest with you. Like, it's like I don't even understand how.
How's about I start?
Go for it, man.
These motherfuckers never mirror Widow on attack Junkertown. Never. They go into Quartz, defense first point Widow. They're playing against May Widow DPS line, Orisa tank line, Juno Brig supports. So absolutely zero pressure on Sparker. If Sparker mirrors Widow on attack, there's no pressure on him. It's just the Widow duel. The May can't mark the Widow properly. There's no flanking DPS. There's no supports that can fight the Widowmaker. And still, these motherfuckers refuse to Widow mirror. And they just fucking play Sparker on Tracer for all of VP's marbles. Exclamation mark.
It wasn't that
YouTube comments, by the way.
Guys, it's not time to play. Don't play now. It's not.
Drop an exclamation
time.
mark play in the YouTube
No,
comments,
it's
by the
not
way,
time.
if you're ready to play marbles right now. But they refuse to mirror Widow, and instead they put Sparky on Tracer, something which obviously he's all right at, but it's not top skill for him. He's a hit scam player. Let's be for real here. And they just give him all the responsibility. You're going to flank behind. You're going to solo kill Quartz. You're going to keep Quartz busy long enough that he doesn't kill our whole team. And would you believe Sparker does not get that done? Sparker cannot solo kill Quartz for 4 minutes, and instead he'll pepper Quartz a little bit, and then Quartz will 180 back to main, kill a member of SSG, kills Funny Astro jumping in main, turn around, kill Sparker, turn around, kill Backbone again for 4 minutes on repeat. And I think it's fucking criminal, because last time we had this conversation, Chris was mega coped, right? Like there was something that could flank last time that was the reason Sparker couldn't play. Yeah, there was Kiri Tracer. So it was like, can't play the Widow because Kiri Tracer will kill our Widow, right? But this time around, there is no Kiri that can flank. There is no Tracer that can flank. There's just Sparker and his lack of testosterone. So I want to hear the Chris theory on this one, because Virtus Pro's life was on the line. And you put it in Sparker's hands, his little Tracer hands.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
Get your notes.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, can we please go to Ilios Ruins? Can we please go to the video here?
You've got notes to consult that are like VOD form.
He's actually.
Can you go back to the start? I'm like maybe 20 seconds before this. Okay. Now, I would like to ask the defendant, what do you think of our comp right now?
There's a lot less wrong with this comp right now, because on Ilios Ruins, you can touch the point and win the game by touching the point, and the Widow can't see the point. So you can win your point fights with the May on the objective.
Watch this bit. Okay, can you explain to the jury what just happened on the screen right now?
Again, this is not comparable to Junkertown. This is Koth, not Escort, right? So if you play the point fight here, like see Twisted Minds, they try to contest point. The Brig has to come forward.
Yeah, okay.
In the other comp, the Brig can do both in the middle.
No problem. So I'm guessing if I was to show you Blizzard World second point where we do the same thing with the same swaps and the same thing, it's going to be the same, right? Blizzard World are we allowed to accept that when Quartz after he keeps swapping Widow, we keep swapping Tracer, forcing back onto Ash? Like he only stays for like a life because he knows the Tracer counters the Widow, so he just goes back onto Ash into the mirror. So I'm guessing this map, if I provide the evidence at some point, it's also
so you're gonna show me a series of different maps which explains why Junkertown first point is bad for Widow.
Okay, fantastic. So we've agreed that unfortunately the evidence does not quite suit because it's different maps. Now I would like to present to the jury today Junkertown attack versus Ents. Could you please bring that up for me, please?
Where am I going? What map was it? Do you have a series you remember?
Junkertown number 4.
before?
Our attack.
Your attack.
Okay, fantastic. Now, can you explain to me what hero Sparker is on at this moment in time right now?
Cole Cassidy.
Okay. What do you think the goal of our comp right now is?
Waste the Widowmaker's time and win the front fight while Kev's plays Tracer.
Okay, so what was
Force
our
objective.
Plan? Okay, what was the plan on the one against TM?
Perhaps the same, but you're versus May, so you can't do that because the May can just infinite stall you in the front fight.
Okay. So it was the May that was the problem, but it also wasn't a problem on Blizzard World or Ilios because those are different maps, right? So basically, so what we're saying is, what we should do is we should implement max theory, which is step one, create a time machine, figure out the comp which provides a victory screen at the end, and then just play that comp, and then we're always right. The reality is we didn't play Widowmaker on this attack. We played the exact same style. We just played with better heroes in this situation.
We played the exact. You played Ryan Cass into Tracer.
No, if fucking Kev's on May, you think this attack doesn't work?
I mean,
your space station on Ryan. This is insane, Chris Cope. This is going to be the worst Chris Cope ever. You told me in advance that you had the best argument ever to dismantle my points, but you show me an NSVOD where they're on a different comp, and then you guys play a completely different comp, and then that justifies you doing that.
Understand how retarded you are, okay? How the fuck can I win an argument against a guy that no matter what happens, because the screen said defeat, it couldn't work, you know? I explain why our theory consistently works against Widowmaker points because we don't like to mirror the Widow. I explain how we even changed the heroes, but
it's just basic Junkertown. It's the map theory, and you have the map
now.
theory.
Look at the screen. Just look to the
You're
right.
not first May. It's different. You know that the heroes. Yes, it is.
What, mate? You're I mean this in the nicest way possible. You're fucking cooked. If they have a May, the Sombra gets in behind and just one bops the Widow, and they can't peel it, and then it's done. It's actually easier to do this style against fucking May than it is against Tracer.
You didn't play Sombra. You played Spark on Tracer. It's a difference.
We're doing the same thing. I don't think you understand. The theory's the fucking same. We're playing the same way. We just fucking lost, you know? The theory worked on map 1, it worked on map 2, it worked here, it just didn't map, you know? So maybe there was nothing I could say to you which could convince you, because at the end of the day, it was a defeat screen instead of a victory screen, right? The theory, by the way, worked on the defense because we got the Ash mirror the whole map, but they still capped us with fucking time because Quartz just put on some form of fucking generational performance. I can show you tons of scrims where the same theory works. Consistently, this was like our best answer to fucking Tracer. Now, I actually, after the answer series, clearly this was a better version of the comp, right? The Sombra is actually way better than the Tracer on Junkertown. It's doing the same fucking theory. But your original claim, especially when I was watching you in your fucking VOD like a fucking idiot, you're saying, you need to play Widow, you need to play Widow, you need to play Widow. Well, we're not playing fucking Widow. We're doing the same thing. We change 1 or 2 heroes and we fucking smash it, no?
It's because you're just dismissive of the overall point. Like you're not just changing one thing here. Like Space Station is playing 3 different heroes to change the situation here.
May's job is to push the
nothing you've said explains why can't Sparker mirror Widow in an extremely free Widow matchup. Because that's the ultimate problem here. The thing I'm flaming is Sparker won't match Widows in free matchups. And that's what that was.
But my mate Max, when I fucking mirrored Winston against Hypnos, I got fucking flamed because I shouldn't mirror heroes where we're not favored. So Quartz was insane at Widow. Spark doesn't want to take those matchups. Plus, as a team, we never want to just leave it in the hands of DPS because we want to fucking win through the fucking theory, like the team play, the macro, you know? So when we play heroes and we mirror in season 3, I have a Chris Cope segment about why I shouldn't mirror. This time, I took a matchup in which we're not favored. I found creative solutions which worked on maps 1, 2, and this one against Ends, and I'm still getting fucking flamed because I should have mirrored. How do I win?
It's just the map, dude. It's junk. No, it's like you use these examples. Like you pull up the Ilios. You can't keep pointing at the Junkertown versus the Tracer with a completely different comp.
Because it's Tracer.
It's like if you did again, like if you did something completely differently, but you played a comp where Spark gets no help and Spark has a really low chance of getting the solo kill. What you did versus Twisted Minds is a shit solution. Like it's really easy to mark Spark. It's really easy to stop him from doing that. It leaves Quartz free. Chris left the call in protest, so I guess we have to pause the Cope segment.
He actually left for call.
He DC'd, he froze.
I mean, all I'm saying is when my tournament life was in SSG's hands, they put Sparker on May and we lost. So
Yeah.
Chris
Look,
Fanatic, all I'm saying, I don't trust them with anyone's tournament life. Like I needed them to beat, like we beat Lee Jae-gon, like flying across my screen. Like they couldn't do that. I don't know.
The long and short of it, the long and short of it, we got blown out, a rage quit, an obvious rage quit. We clocked it. We can literally see you moving your hand down to the mouse to click the disconnect call button. But like the crux of the issue here is that it's like on Junkertown, it's like there are situations where you got to take the Widow mirror. Like it's free.
No,
it's like you say, like clearly you say, clearly there isn't because you played versus a different comp and you counter comp them. But the crux of the issue here is that Sparker refuses to pick Widow, and it's like you say like we're super unfavored in that matchup, but you just won maps 1 and 2 with your rush matchups, right? And Sparker is not bad at Widow. Sparker is good at Widow. Like the problem is that you can't solve the fact that he's too much of a pussy to pick Widow.
No, it's not his decision, our decision. Okay, Widow is actually fucks us in scrims a lot, mainly because we are almost always playing the May and the other teams are playing someone else, but that's like a separate issue. But you say we're winning the rush matchups. Ilios Ruins is a Widow map. We found a solution to a Widow map. We 100-0s. Blizzard World teams are all people are always swapping Widow on that map. Again, we found a fucking solution. Now, maybe I'm a fucking idiot because I can't see the difference between Junkertown attack and Ilios Ruins. Like somehow, like Ilios Ruins is fucking easy to mark the Widow as Tracer, but Junkertown is fucking impossible.
It's because you can fight in the pit. It's because you can fight out of Widow's LOS. But as an attacker on Junker first, you have to drag the cart out into the open where the Widow can see. That's the difference. You can't see the pillars and the big bumpy thing that blocks point line of sight. Like that's the difference. Right. Junkertown first, you come out in the open. You have to peek Widow. On Ruins, you don't have to.
Okay, even if that's true, which I think it's pretty. Okay, there's no way you think that.
I'm not inventing structures here. It's real.
Wait, was that the map changes?
Yeah, but the way you're saying it is like Ilios Ruins is like, it's like a totally different Junkertown. Like there isn't like any similarities. Like why does teams always pick Widow on both of those maps? You know, because they're both fucking insane Widow maps, right? But what I don't understand is how the fuck can you dismiss this idea that if we did what we did against ENT against TM, it wouldn't have worked. That's what I don't understand.
You didn't do what you did against ENT. I think maybe if you did what you did against ENT, it works. But I think the May, that's a problem because it's harder to play that Rhine into the May. It slows down your plan. It slows down the whole we're going to win the front fight thing. What ENT is playing is so greedy because they're playing Tracer in a meta where everyone is brawling constantly and Tracer's value is really low there. You went a comp where you can stack up and you can play with your shield. You can play really close to that shield. So if Jamie just does his job of slowing the Widow down, then you've got a 4v4 front fight where you're winning, right? But that wasn't the case in the series that we're actually talking about. You can point to all these other maps, to all these other situations. You can even point to the Junkertown versus a different comp, and you can be like, oh, this solution works here. And that's true. But the game is complicated. There's lots of different factors. If you are standing in spawn as an attacker, you can look at the comp and you can be like, this is what we're going to do into that. You look at all 5 heroes and you think, because of what they have, I'm free to pick this, right? That's the judgment call that needs to be made. You can't just like top down Chris theory it in advance and have it all flow charted out. A part of it is like the understanding in the game. You see the enemy's comp, and then as an attacker, you pick your own comp around it. And the problem that I have that you can't address because there is no solution other than Sparker stop being a fucking cuck is that Sparker on Junkertown, on a god tier Widow map, like the best Widow map, he sits in spawn, he sees the comp that Twisted Minds are on. And because he has no dick and no balls, he doesn't pick the best hero. That is the map where you see that comp, you should pick Widow because Widow is free and Widow will carry. But instead, you've got to go down the Chris theory route. You've got to go down, there's all these different things mapped out and we're going to try and make it work. But we know that is a hard solution. It's a really difficult solution. And you can be like, look at our solution in the next series versus a different comp. But that's not what you did versus Twisted. What you did versus Twisted was put all the exclamation mark play in the comments marbles on Sparker Tracer. And that's awkward. That's too much. It's expecting a lot from him.
But then for you to at least be consistent in your argument, you also have to admit that like Ilios Runes was fucking dog shit from us, and you should have flamed us for it. But you probably said, "Oh, great solution."
It's more doable there.
Okay.
That's the difference. That's why I'm always talking about Junkertown.
But then, always, right? Like always, like because like theories can't like transcend Overwatch, right? Like it's always like
it depends on the map. That's how the game works.
Like the theory doesn't work except on Junkertown attack, except the next one where it does, because everything is always slightly different. So therefore, I can never win. Do you see how it's impossible to win against this?
But your problem is consistent. Our argument is a repeat of Junkertown first point, insane Widow map. SSG won't pick Widow on Junkertown. You know, like that's.
And we fucking did it in the second series, and we fucking smoked it because you don't need to.
So,
I think we need people to.
I wasn't actually ready to get my word in, Ben. I wasn't ready to get my word in, Ben, because it's been a while. But I think there is some inherent truth to what Max is saying, in the sense that Junkertown is a harder map to do for theory on, right? And that's also why you changed it in the Ent series, right? Because you felt that version of the comp.
We didn't change the theory, right? But we changed you
felt
pieces.
The version you were trying to do was too hard. But
what I'm attacking, for the record, sorry to cut you off, what I'm attacking is not that our comp on the original one was bad. It's this idea that we needed to play Widowmaker, because that's obviously not true. That's the bit. Because it's only when we lose that we need the Widowmaker, and then when we win, it's silence.
But there's a few things here, because I think there is again the similar argument that actually again Junkertown attack, especially if they have a May, it's easier to Widow than in other situations, right? Than on maybe Ilios Well, or maybe especially parts of Blizzard World Attack, for example. So some of the map stuff I think is true, and that kind of tracks with you changing the comp. And I think your decision also does make sense on the sense, because I was talking to Backburner as well, and one, he said it worked in scrims, right? The Junkertown solution worked in scrims. And I actually have a lot of sympathy for that, because I remember in season 4 of fucking the bad years of London that we never talk about, one time on Busan, we ran Zen Anna against fucking Glads on Busan Sanctuary. And that comp was our most successful one in scrims. Right? It was really niche. It was fucking Orisa, Bull, Soldier, Tracer, Zen Anna on Sanctuary. This was before anyone ran Zen Anna. And it was fair to say, Kevza pushed our shit in, right? And we looked very foolish, and everyone called us fucking morons. But 100% it worked on scrims. So I have sympathy for it worked in scrims. But I also think, I'm really trying to play both sides here. I really think there is also an inherent truth that you guys don't want to take Widow matchups.
Yes,
right?
For sure. Yes.
And that there will be situations when it causes you problems, and Junkertown is maybe an example where that makes that map harder for you than, say, maps where you can't Widow, right? And this problem might even reappear itself on maps like a Gibraltar or Dorado that are also very strong. It's worth
noting that this problem happened to us in King's Row, on Ilios Ruins. Every single time, teams were just because we play the May, teams were picking Widow against us always. So we needed to find a solution, because the reality is either we can play Widow and just fucking win the headshot battle. Again, I don't know, I feel like, especially the way Quartz was playing, that didn't. I mean, we wouldn't have done it anyway, because it's not our theory. It's not what we did in scrims. It's just not how we do. But I don't know. The other thing somewhere was against the Widow, it should be May that swaps fucking goes Genji or something. But again, that doesn't feel like the best thing for us.
It's first point Junkertown. That's not the solution. Again, you're ignoring the map. It's you can't pick Genji to counter Widow on first point Junkertown. It's a really long sightline. The clear, glaring solution as an attacker, where you kill the Widow once, you're now in a completely different situation, a completely different position. That's why Widow's so good. It's because she loses that god spot up the back. And then once you've pressed around the corner, then again, it's a different situation. You have a different sight line up the back towards the coast. But it's the same thing, where it's map dependent. And for that point, the solution is clear, and everyone picks that solution. People just take the Widow mirror. It's I swear I've seen Shockwave and Sauna and stuff like that. People where it's I don't rate their Widow, but they take it because as the attacker, you just need the one duel win. You need one duel win in 4 minutes, and you've broken the hold. Even if your Widow has a confidence issue, that Sparker, he's an insane aimer, and you need to press the idea into him that he's capable of picking the hero, because all he needs to do is win one duel.
I mean, or we just use our theory with better heroes and we win. That would be the other thing, right?
But you didn't win the matching discussion.
Yes, of course, but this is the problem with what you're saying. Is like, as long as we lose, we did something wrong. Like, oh, we should have done this, right? Like, I think I actually somewhere agree with you that, like, actually our theory feels really good up until Junkertown, because Junkertown was more difficult to make it work. But what I'm trying to argue against is this idea that the only way to win is to fucking play Widow, because this is clearly not fucking true. When the fucking Unter thing happened and I'm getting all these messages in the fucking Uncoachable Discord from the fucking clients, like, play Widow. Oh, why do you play Widow?
If you want to be involved in those conversations, subscribe to our Patreon, and you can be atting Chris next time directly about why he's not playing Widow on Junkertown.
The reality
All right, let's have the core members vote. Zeruhh, Xavier, you get 1 vote. You can't fence it. Should they have played Widow versus Twisted? Yes or no?
No.
I mean, I remember a scrim where Sparker like kind of pushed our shit in on Widow, but like, I think maybe I don't know. You could have gone like Kiriko instead of Brig. Had your Kiriko with the Tracer.
Go flank with the Tracer.
Yeah. Or just play the Sombra. The Sombra was actually.
Or the Sombra, yeah.
The Sombra was
I think
good against it.
I think the Sombra does way more than the Tracer.
Yeah, I agree. Actually, 100% agree. Like, that was the biggest mistake, was I forced Tracer instead of Sombra. But the problem was never that we needed to mirror Widowmaker. It's just that our comp made sense because it works in other maps. It was difficult on Junkertown. We didn't hit the bops. We also got full pushed in the mirror on Junkertown, worth also noting. What we should have done is played Ryan Sombra, actually. That's what we should have done. Or Orisa Sombra would have been fine too.
I think both things make sense. Like in NA, I think like if it's like lethal or seeker, they're gonna quote unquote aura check the Widow and match it, like something like that. But I mean, it's course on Widow. It's really hard, you know. So
I think the difference is like, yeah. I mean, for us, like when you had your like, who was it? It was against Toronto where Merit like fucking played Widow and just like
Gibraltar. Yeah.
Yeah. Like that doesn't happen to us. Well, I guess it shouldn't happen to us with the way that we play, because we at least like. The way we're playing is not just to win the fucking Widow duel to win the map, you know? And I really, I mean, I'm 100% sure. Like, if you say that our comp against TM was dog shit, that's fine. But if you say that we need to play Widowmaker, 100% disagree. Like, it's definitely not true.
Okay, so, you go.
I trust that you have, had plans for the Widowmaker, because, I mean, when, Fluffy Dreamland, they literally play your comps, just not, as good. So every time we played versus them playing May, we just went Widowmaker on Midtown or Lee Jong freaking guard.
That was it. Widow and Farah, they were the two that were causing us the most issues in scrims that we needed to figure out swaps for.
So is our conclusion here? They did not need to pick Widowmaker. They could have picked Widowmaker and it would be good. There were multiple solutions. It's been demonstrated that there were multiple solutions. But Chris Theory was wrong for Junkertown first point when they went into it versus Twisted. Is that the conclusion?
Theory's right, comp was wrong. I'll meet you in the middle there.
I'm happy to handshake on that. You know, the theory was right. Wait, no, you're up there. Wait. What am I? Yeah. Put it there. Yeah. Firm handshake.
Oh my God, this is groundbreaking stuff. All right.
Nice.
I can't wait.
We could solve the Middle East if we just
honestly.
Get in there.
all I pray is that at Stockholm. Wait, is Junkertown have a map pool for Stockholm?
No.
There's no chance for a Junkertown Part 3.
No.
Well, shit.
We had Part 3 against Ensmith. We had it.
I mean, technically, you only won that because Hattie hit a pin across map, but that's not.
Well, because I won't do it.
I'm joking. It's fine. I'm joking.
End the segment.
End the segment. Right.
Let's move on.
So, I guess it's still technically on EMEA. I guess the only other thing, really to talk about is Virtus Pro miss out. GG / what piece of cake, whatever they're called. They also miss out. Feels particularly harsh on Virtus Pro to miss out, but
they were the fourth place team all year.
They're fourth place team, yeah. Even if there was a Korea style stage 4 qualifies you to the event, Virtus Pro lose out by that metric as well, right? There's no sort of way through for them. So I feel like we've actually checked off most of the team stuff. We've solved Junkertown. Shame it's not in the map pool because we actually have loads of good solutions for Junkertown now. So
actually true. I'm not even joking. I actually felt like after the Ents one, I was like, actually, this comp's actually fucking fire here. We should win this war. There's no problem anymore.
So, was there anything else? I guess we wanted to talk a little bit about the broadcast itself. I touched on earlier, and I felt the circuit point situation could have been handled better by the broadcast, just in terms of providing that clarity towards the viewer, because it's a super convoluted situation. So somebody has to help the viewers out, because if the broadcast can't understand it, you can't really expect your average show to understand it either.
Yeah. Do we want to talk about like the broadcast and like the drops segment? Because I got some stuff that I want to say, especially now that I'm heated. But I need to say, I really need to be careful about how we say it, because I'm trying to do it in a respectful and non-drama causing manner.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to talk about it like non-dramatically, I suppose. I'm happy. I'm happy to talk it.
Let's have a drama-free conversation, then.
All right. Okay.
Okay.
So I guess I'll fucking start with my rant. I think there's two things. You've got like the people who work the broadcast, and then you've got the people who get the drops. I think like in a way these are separate, but I'm kind of like correlating them a little bit, because my feeling is the issue with them is the same. I'll start with the broadcast. I have this feeling somewhere that, okay, disclaimer one, if I say something, it's not because I fucking hate you and I want you to be fired and never hired again, okay? This is not what I'm saying. I fully understand this idea that like for people who work the broadcast, this isn't paying enough to be full-time jobs, so they have to split their interests elsewhere, right? But one thing that I became, I think, more and more aware towards the end is that some people on the desk were quite locked into Overwatch, had been following it all, and some people were starting to be like you knew they hadn't kept it. You know, even in this conversation with the two of you, when I tried to throw attack under the bus, you guys are ready to jump in because you guys have actually watched every single game of Contenders, right? Like fucking group stages, fucking whatever. And I have this feeling somewhere that when people were out sick because they had other jobs or whatever, maybe minus McGravy, what we ended up doing was we just kind of ended up getting the same talent that was back in from the thing. And I think actually the fundamental product of the Overwatch broadcast was the exact same. And what I think somewhere is that like, if we're WWE, what happens is like when like, as time, you're always trying to integrate new talent in, right? You're always trying to get like new people in who have got like more of a passion. If it's fucking Coronation Street, you're always trying to introduce like new fucking characters. If you're Nightmare, you're trying to introduce the fucking 17-year-old whiz kids like this guy sat on the right, you know? Because somewhere those with like that like unbelievable enthusiasm. And I think somewhere when the broadcast, like I understand like they probably wanted McGravy because McGravy still follows the game, so I actually don't have a problem with being McGravy. And it seems like he was able to get into the studio, so it makes sense.
He lives in Cali, so
yeah. So I think it's like it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
But like I watched Custer again. I'm not trying to fucking shit talk you, mate. Okay, I'm sorry. I watched Custer on Plat Chat this week, and this guy openly admitted to not watching any of EU, right? And it's like, okay, but if that's the like. If because you either don't care enough about Overwatch or you can't afford to like dedicate your time to pay the bills, I feel like somewhere there is like this like next up. Now, obviously, I want it to be one of you two because even though, you know, I called Max a retard earlier in the day. I still consider him a friend, you know.
If only Max was on the main broadcast calling Spark a cunt for not matching Widow.
But I feel somewhere the people that make the decisions for Blizzard aren't attempting to choose who's next up or try to add people who are more into the game. Because if I put a hat on and I put capitalist Chris hat on, okay, if I can only afford to pay people half a working wage, but I have some fucking idiots who are willing to do this shit full time every single game for free, I should fucking hire those people because I can pay them half to get like the full fucking job. And what I feel somewhere is that like, when I see people like come back onto the broadcast, and I think it's this like this is why I say the drops is the same. I feel like the drops are given, like for those who don't know, as the Twitch streamers, the drops day, if you get the host from the channel, that's like the fucking biggest day of the year by far, right? Like you make more money from those viewers than you will for the 3 weeks of streaming previous. And I don't think that's even remotely an exaggeration. I think it's like
not even close. Yeah.
I think it's insane. And the people I see on the drop list, especially because like there was a time before Dallas maybe where X didn't get the drops, and I thought that's really fucked up. There's this time Max didn't get the drops, and I see people who get the drops, and they are always, in my opinion, people who have worked with Blizzard before. Maybe they've casted, maybe they're currently on the desk, maybe they've like casted like contenders or calling all heroes or whatever it is. Like it's always people like, ironically, that's why like I call in the establishment, but that's like I'm not trying to fucking get into an establishment type thing. But I think somewhere like as Overwatch grows, I think we really like, this is maybe something like Gumba said back in those original episodes before or whatnot. I feel somewhere we really, really have to, when we're making these decisions about who we support, either supporting with drops or supporting with jobs on the desk. I think if it's not you two, I think someone like Coach OWCS like follows the game like pretty well. Like I think there is like other people within the scene that isn't just like my pals. I think somewhere like the product, we should be encouraging those who actually do live this game and have a full passion to get them as much. Because even when I look at League of Legends, I feel like they're really ruthless with like certain decisions in terms of up and coming new talent. And that's what I had this feeling this week was somewhere like when Avast got the drops, I'm like, oh fuck, it's just like it's Avast, because like, oh, it's Avast, he's one of the fucking guys, yeah, we'll give him it. And then the guy like didn't watch any of the fucking like OWCS, and I don't know, I feel like we should give like the drops and where we can the jobs on a talent to people who really fucking care about this product, assuming they can do a good job. Because one thing I'll also say to add to the glaze, I mean, your two casting is fucking excellent, guys. Really, really fucking good. Like you guys don't miss an ult in a fight, pretty much, right? Like you get into these 6 ults v 6 ult fights and you fucking track it all like flawlessly, like really well. You are really, really good because you're both coaches at understanding when a team wins a fight, but it fucked them, or they really, really shouldn't have done this. This trade is fucking terrible, or using this ult is really, really bad. Like I feel like when I watch your two, I feel like even if they're like maybe like the proper casters have better, I don't know, like I can't speak, so they have better talking skills, I guess, I like the way that like I can follow the game much more. I know like when a situation is fucked for a team. I know when a team, they have to play wide and slow here. Widow has to do something, stuff like that. I think you guys are really, really fucking good at it. And I don't know. I just somewhere I feel like I'm not trying to like again. I'm really not trying to fucking flame people. But when I see the same names who just haven't done anything with Overwatch for 6 months, or they're coming back on the broadcast this week, I think. In my head, it's like, well, the person who makes these decisions just in a fucking group with them, and they just give it to those people. That's kind of what I think.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I should give my like general feelings, like for how it impacted me. As you said, like getting the drops, getting the featured co-streamer program is like by far the most important thing. If you're trying to like make anything out of the co-streaming, then getting those drops, getting that host and the drops enabled on your Twitch account is by far the most important thing. Like the amount of money that I made from the day of the featured co-stream in Stage 4 was 4 times the amount of money that I made from every single other day streaming in the month, co-streaming absolutely everything. It's like I covered groups, I covered Face It at the same time. Korea. Like I did all of Asia as well. So like I did triple region, I did double tournament, and that one day was worth 4 times as much as all of the rest. Like it's a really incredibly valuable day in terms of the return that you get from it monetarily. And it was so important for my stream growth as well. Like after I got that host, I got so many new viewers, so many people like eyes on what I was putting out on Twitch that otherwise wouldn't have existed. The return of new viewers as a result of that host was massive. Like it was a complete game changer for my Twitch account. And obviously, like when I found out that Xavier got the drops enabled for Stage 4, I mean, I was fucking devastated because not because Xavier got it, obviously.
That was why I was devastated.
But it was the realization that it meant that I didn't get that, right? Because if they've reached out to him, they've reached out to everyone getting the program. That means that I did not get any featured co-streaming program for Stage 4. And I mean, the truth of these things is that everything is earned, nothing is given, right? Like everything should be earned, not given, right? Like I'm not entitled to the featured co-streamer program in any capacity, right? And I think there's definitely an element where my broadcast, because I say stuff like, I flame the players and whatnot, I'm like really harsh on certain players. if I feel like they're underperforming or if I feel like they're the problem on the team. I get that, you know, there are people that don't like that side of it. I see that there's always like really divisive discussion on Reddit when it comes to like my co-streams, in the sense that like there are lots of people on that subreddit that really like what I'm doing and they say like, this is really fun, this is really entertaining. And then there's also lots of people that are not appealed to that side of the product. They're not appealed to the fact that I'm really harsh on the players. Their perception of what I'm doing is that I'm just calling all players frauds and stuff like that. I think that, you know, for what it's worth, I'd say that I think I praise players quite a lot as well. I think I say that a lot of things are good, but what winds up getting clipped and what winds up getting put in a Reddit thread, it's not going to be someone doing a good play and me saying something good about it. It's going to be when someone does something bad and I explain why it's bad and then call them a fraud. I think that's just the reality of it, is that, you know, negative views get engagement more, or negative views get more engagement than positive views. So what people wind up seeing in like a clip farm on Reddit or on Twitter or something is usually me saying something like outlandishly negative towards a player that shit the sheets in a fight. But obviously, when I found out Xavier got the drops and I didn't, I was like, oh, fuck, this sucks. And I messaged and asked, you know, like, is there any way I can get involved with the featured co-streamer stuff? But obviously it was too late. And it's not something where it's like you message and you get it, you know, it's something where they contact you for the most part. And then when I saw like they actually announced the talent lineup and I saw that they put a vast for the grand finals day, you know, like I figured that's the slot that I was competing for the most in that sense. Cause like Avril, Avril doesn't have like the huge Twitch viewership, but Avril's someone that's been putting in the work year round. You know, Avril, he has a smaller viewer base, but he's someone that's been putting in the work year round. He covers lots of regions. He does less EMEA NA because he covers all of Asia. Yeah. But I think it's totally reasonable. And it's a good thing that Kev got it, because Kev covers so much and he has like lots of passion for it. You know, I think that it's really good, you know, when someone like J3 gets it. I think J3 is a perfect community figure to get it because he has a huge stream. So when he co-streams the game, he'll put lots of new eyes on the main broadcast. And he also, like, he ran a community tournament in the off season, you know, like he actually cares about Overwatch esports. He puts his own money and his own time and his own brand into it to elevate Overwatch esports. I was fucking super bummed about Avast, because Avast is definitely in that camp that you described in your rank, Chrissy, where it's like, it's someone that has definitively moved on from the product. You know, having spoken with Avast, I know that he doesn't even want to stream. He doesn't like streaming anymore. And that showed when he got the featured co-streamer thing and he didn't co-stream any of the games, like absolutely none. He didn't co-stream EMEA on the grand finals day. He booted up the stream for 3 hours on the day of the host, including the time he was hosted, and then just gave the views to Johnny when he got home. And Johnny worked the main desk and had featured co-stream in the previous week, right? So like that sucks from my POV, because it's like, you know, again, there's no entitlement in the sense that it's like, I deserved that or whatever, but it sucks that, you know, to think like, oh shit, Johnny, he got the featured co-stream last week, then he gets to work the main event in the following week, and then he gets to host a second time because of us. He got that big money earner and he didn't even make any use of it. He didn't try to grow his brand or grow his stream or anything like that, because he doesn't want to stream. He's not actually interested in it. And because of us isn't a streamer anymore, it's not like he had mega viewership and brought a bunch of viewers back to the game. It's not the same thing as giving the host to J3, because J3 is someone that is actively an Overwatch streamer, actively has lots of people watching him. Avast co-streamed the NA games with the drops on, and you know, he had like 500 viewers or something. You know, he probably brought back a couple of diehards and whatnot, but overall, like he didn't actually bring many new eyes to the product. And it was really clear that he didn't want to be doing it, because he streamed Crash Bandicoot 20 times and streamed one game of Overwatch for the whole grand finals. You know, like it's picking someone for the program that wound up being not interested at all. And that kind of feels shit, because, you know, it takes like genuinely an unreal amount of time and effort to cover like all of the games across the regions and stuff like that, because it's just so many games. It's so many matches. To be like a diehard engaged person in the scene takes a lot of time too. So anyone covering that is taking a lot of time, and it felt like atrocious from my POV to think like, you know, wonder like, am I just fucked in this situation now? Am I on a blacklist because I've been too negative towards players and stuff like that? Have I said something a little bit too outlandish and now I'm kind of like not capable of being touched by these sponsored programs? But because it's a very, you know, it's an opaque door. You can't know whether you're on their shit list or not, other than the fact that you don't get the gigs, right? No one's ever going to tell you, no, you fucked up here, so you're probably never going to get this again. It's that uncertainty that sucks, because that featured co-streamer program specifically is such an important part of making money from co-streaming the games. It's the most important thing if you want to turn co-streaming into something that's financially viable. And it was a shame to miss out on that. And I was a little Devo about the fact that Avast got it, and then wound up kicking it onto Johnny, because it did just feel like Avast got it when he didn't really care or want it, didn't see the value in streaming for a day and getting a bunch of money in ad revenue and stuff like that. And there is no stream for him to grow because he's not a streamer anymore. He's quit. So that sucked.
So from my point of view, I feel like start of the year, it very much felt like I was off whatever list I wanted to be on in terms of being excluded. Since then, I think I've actually got to host all 3 stages. So I feel like I've not to rub it in, Max, but
you've transcended.
I've kind of transcended, I guess. Yeah. So I've got all the stages, and I'm grateful for that. And I think there's also there's a sort of balance that you don't want to pitch to have jobs taken away or stuff taken away from people. But ultimately there is a sort of hierarchy and I guess a meritocracy to these things. And I think the bit that feels disappointing from my point of view is when I watch, say, other games, or you'll enjoy this one, Chris. I was watching Match of the Day the other week. And what's his name? Phil Jones. Was on Match of the Day. For those who don't know, Phil Jones is a former professional player, recently retired. And what they always do in football, professional players, get him on the desk. And Phil Jones, Match of the Day, I was a bit shit, honestly. He was like, stuttering, not an on-broadcast professional. But they always do this. The biggest pundits in football right now are Gary Neville, Ian Wright, Roy Keane, Jamie Carragher, all former professional players. And it feels like the pipeline is they're so keen to get the former professionals in and try and get their knowledge and hey, we'll teach you how to talk in front of a camera. You just bring some of those football stories with you, right? And I see a similar thing in CS. If there's ever a coach who's out of work, doesn't have a between jobs or whatever, get him in for this event, get him in for that. And I feel like other games are always so keen and supportive for this pipeline of former player or former coach into on-screen talent, whether it's just a temporary gig or they become a full-time thing. It feels like that's super open. I understand there is limitations here in Overwatch in the sense that if I use CS as a comparison, there's loads of events all the time, right? There's small events, there's big events, there's a lot more opportunities. There's more jobs, essentially, right? If there's more jobs, you can give out more opportunities, whereas we're in a very fixed situation. But it does feel like, even though I've been supported with the co-streams, there's sort of no pipeline elsewhere, if you know what I mean. I've been getting the co-streams, and I think that's obviously good. I'm grateful for all of that, of course. It has been again, can't understate the financial difference between those 3 streams I've had this year and not having those 3 streams this year in terms of making it a full-time income that can support me, support my fiance, and pay my mortgage. But it doesn't feel like there's that same connection and that same pipeline as I see in other places. And I think that's the bit that feels a little bit disappointing to me. That I don't know what I'm asking for necessarily, but it doesn't really feel like. It feels like more could be done. It feels like more could be done, I guess. I don't know exactly what that looks like, but issues when it doesn't feel like there is a pipeline or an opportunity, and when it doesn't even feel like some of the smaller things, not to change the subject, but the replay stuff is really annoying. The fact that there's no OPR to use replays, the fact that at the Dallas Major, I wasn't allowed access to the replay viewer to make content, and neither was anyone else in the Tomathan category or anything like that. That felt particularly I don't feel like it takes a lot to do that, So some of those things still felt disappointing, even though I guess the transition from no featured co-streamer to featured co-streamer has actually changed quite dramatically for me across the year.
Yeah, I guess it's obviously we really don't we really don't want to do what we did maybe in the Gumber episode when we were newer on the podcast, we just fucking get on and say some shit. But I don't know, it feels like I'm not necessarily saying that you guys should be on the fucking desk week in, week out, but it just feels sometimes when there is opportunities for the broadcast to try to bring someone new, someone with a little bit of passion. I guess to be fair to the credit, that's what it felt like McGravy, I guess, did, right? Because that was McGravy's first official gig, not including EWC and stuff.
First for EWC.
Yeah. And it just feels somewhere that if you have I guess the worrying thing, if you were really, really cynical, and I don't know, I'm not saying that this is what's happening necessarily, but the worrying thing is that the person, whoever this mystery hooded figure is that makes these decisions about where the money goes and where the hosts go, you just worry somewhere that they aren't just existing friends with the people that they've been existing friends with for 5 years, and then when there is an opportunity, oh, let's get fucking Scott Custer in, and let's help him out, and let's get him on the desk for a weekend because we need someone. And it feels like somewhere like if you were really like, if the people making the decisions, in my opinion at least, like I'm not speaking for you two here because I know like I don't really fucking care about being a caster, so my personal bridges I guess are more burnable than yours. But for me, I know I just feel like if this was like a really serious product like CS, like you're talking about, I think League of Legends is the same thing. Like even WWE, where they're trying to like promote new talent for it, it's the same. It is kind of the same thing. It feels somewhere that there is like a more like a competitiveness where let's get this new person in. And that's the worry, is that like in my opinion, the broadcast from this OWCS, we obviously spoke about a lot 6 months ago when it started. I feel like it's been the same as the Overwatch League, you know, like the same personnel, the same tone, the same everything. And I worry, is the same good enough? Or like all other, I guess, like competitive capitalistic systems, is there not like a need for improvement or the up and comers, you know? But any thoughts, Zeruhh?
I mean, I definitely think like I definitely think there are a lot of good points made. Like sometimes maybe I don't want to like speak bad on anyone, but like I'll watch like maybe the Avast co-stream sometimes, like after the match I'll like watch it back, and it's just like sometimes it feels like the people they're choosing to give the drops to or whatever, they don't seem like super invested or really care about like the matches that they're, you know, being paid to like co-stream and stuff. Like I feel like definitely in the situation Overwatch is in, they should definitely be looking for more passionate people and people who care like a lot and like are putting in the work to, I guess, kind of promote their game and like give more resources to like kind of keep them, because right now it's like, you know, the people who've been in the scene for like the past 8 years, like they're not going to be as, I guess, into it as they were 8 years ago when like the game was like, you know, I don't know. That's just what I think.
I think we've probably trotted around it like fairly carefully, but I think it's probably worth reiterating as well that this is like not directed at any individual, as in like the on-screen talent. This is more of like a bigger picture.
Yeah, like if you have to do 2 jobs to make this a living, like I'm not saying fucking you better like, but it's a way of the world, you know. Like I said, if you like, you two have like, I mean, especially UX, right? Because you've been in this, you literally watch every single game of like fucking OWCS, you know. Like there is, I think if you were to ask, like if we were to do a quiz, we might actually do a quiz, you know. We occasionally do that. Like I said this before, but if we were to do like a quiz on just like knowledge and like following, you would actually be like the most knowledgeable person about Overwatch, like competitive in the last like 12 months in the world, you know. Like again, like if you were to ask Avril, right, like about like the Asian scene, he would be the same, right? And I know somewhere like I don't know. Yeah, I guess like I'm just gonna now.
Well, I think as well it's worth saying, like, it's not Avast's fault that he said yes.
Well, right.
If you know what I mean? Avast gets given an opportunity, says, do you want this opportunity? You'll make a bit of money. Of course he says yes, right? Well, he's not stupid.
Yeah.
But like, it's like the decision making and what's being prioritized in terms of, is it like, are all the right people being rewarded? And again, I want to make, this isn't like I think it's probably, I probably speak for Max with this as well. This isn't us pitching for us. Why don't we get everything? Why don't we get all this? There's plenty of others, like I think Tomathan, OC, really at the top of the list in terms of other people who are equally, if not more so, deserving of all these same kind of things as well, you know? Like I think, and maybe Tomathan doesn't stream on Twitch, right? Which maybe creates some of the problem.
I think he only does YouTube.
Yeah, but like OC, she's been co-streaming all of OWCS from what I've seen as well, right? And I don't think she got one at all in stage 4, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe maybe someone fact check me on that in the comments, but definitely didn't get one on the finals week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned Avast, you know, I talked about Avast with like how he didn't really stream Overwatch or whatever. But I mean, you know, at the end of the day, I mean, Zeruhh said, you know, he watches back the Avast co-streams, right? Like he is still Mr. Co-stream at the end of the day. He's like the OG Overwatch co-streamer. I think that, you know, the reason that I was like Devo about it is because, you know, I was looking at like the 4 people that got the featured co-stream for the grand final. And I thought like, you know, there's 3 people on this list that are like extremely continually invested in Overwatch. Like they really like they're constantly streaming one thing or another related to Overwatch. They're still like, you know, they're big in the Overwatch esports scene one way or another. And with Avast, it was like, you know, it was just because of the fact that he actually like he doesn't cover the stuff anymore. That was kind of what made me a little depressed about it, is the fact that like he actually doesn't do it anymore. You know, like he doesn't co-stream anymore. He co-streamed a little bit of OWCS 3. I think he covered like a fair bit more in OWCS 3, like maybe a couple of days of it. But for OWCS 4, he actually didn't cover the tournament. You know, like he only booted up an Overwatch stream for the grand finals and for nothing else. And that was like, oh, that's a bit depressing from my POV, because it was like, you know, everyone who gets the featured co-stream program, you know, they're competition in the sense that it's like we're all competing for a very limited number of slots to get the host and to actually make money out of co-streaming, make a meaningful amount of money out of co-streaming, so that you can call it a job. Because, you know, to do the hours, it is a job. And I was just sad because, you know, like the person that gets grand finals at the end of the day is someone that it hasn't really put in the effort this year to do that, right? To cover all the games and to actually want it. And you could see that he didn't want it because he got the host and he turned off the stream. He got the host and he gave it to Johnny because he wanted to go do something else. He was busy over the weekend. And again, there's nothing wrong with him accepting the program. You know, if they reach out to him and say, "Hey, dude, do you want to make some money? Do you want to get this host?"
Money?
It's like, yeah, fucking
you like money, bro?
Everyone in the universe would say yes to that. Of course, it's just I mean, I was a little sad, you know, because it you know. Maybe it wouldn't have been me, right? Like it could have been me. It could have been someone that puts in like, you know, like lots and lots of hours still to Overwatch esports, because those are the people that, like, if you invest into them, they will continue to put lots and lots of time and effort into Overwatch esports. If you invest into someone that's already quit, they'll take the money and they'll leave. That's the difference, I suppose.
All right. Well, I think that was respectfully done.
It wasn't a Gumba v Lemon Kiwi Necra situation, that's for sure.
It shows maturity, I think.
Yeah, I feel like we're undermining it a little bit by patting ourselves on the back so aggressively immediately, but
yeah.
I mean, that the viewers should know how hard it is for us to not just go and shit talk everyone.
Yeah.
Mask up, you know.
You saw how Chris spoke to Hunter in the Junkertown section, so this was
pretty well mannered from me, really.
Yeah. Right, we deserve that pat on the back. And if anyone
about facts and feelings,
and if anyone does want to give Hunter or any of us money to help support our careers, you can do so on the Uncoachable Patreon.
Oh,
good plug.
I love that.
Yeah.
There we go. And then that leads us nicely to
the
quiz time.
Okay. Okay, quiz. It's nothing crazy. Now that OWCS is effectively finished, we're gonna look for the people who are officially 2-timers. Okay, not Kai in this situation, but Overwatch 2-timers. So
that would also be Kai now.
I'm looking for somebody that's won something in Overwatch League, so like a stage, a season, any sort of tournament. Okay. And has also won something in OWCS. I think that this quiz might be easy, so we're going to up the stakes. If you have 2 lives. If you get 2 wrong, then you're fucking locked out for the rest of it. So don't fuck about and get it wrong.
Can I start?
Sorry, wait, what was the question? 2-time in...
Okay, yeah, 2 times. So it's like someone who's won like a stage in OWCS in the last year. So that's Korea, NA, and EU. And has also won a season or a stage or some shit like that.
Okay.
In Overwatch League. All right.
Zeruhh should start.
The rules?
The guest.
Yeah. Okay.
Merit.
Yes, I think obviously won many times on NA and also won the Overwatch League.
Someone.
Yeah. Also nice, solid pick.
Kevster.
Yes, good. Actually, Kevster won twice. I think he won one with Max in mid-season, but he also won a tournament the year before with DP, if I'm not mistaken.
He won Dallas in the same year with me as well.
Oh yeah, good chance. He's a double winner.
3-timer.
Do I go
Ze-
again?
Yeah,
Yeah,
go
yeah,
back.
yeah.
Oh, wait, I
This
go
is-
again? Oh,
This is
okay.
Yeah,
this
we
is the
keep going.
Ah.
I thought you were thinking. Sorry.
Lip?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Lip obviously won fucking a million things every week.
Yeah. RuPaul.
Yeah. RuPaul. Nice. Easy.
Well, actually, Kai has actually an answer to this as well.
Has
Okay,
he ever won
I
anything in
don't.
Overwatch League?
Kai
I
is
don't
not
think
on
so.
the list. So
Did he not win with one of those Gladiators
No,
mid-season?
he joined the year after, and
He
I
was on
checked.
Atlanta.
Nothing on Atlanta.
Yeah, a few times second
He came
place, but
second?
never won
Fuck.
anything. So CommanderX, you've lost a life.
I've
Okay, so
down to
be
one
careful
life,
with that if
okay.
you don't mind.
I'll be
You're up,
careful.
Zero.
Fielder.
Yes, Fielder. Yeah, of course, one with Dallas, Atlanta, and Falcons.
Shoot.
Yeah, nice, easy peasy.
Smurf.
Yes, of course, won the Overwatch League many times.
Geo.
Yeah, easy peasy. Okay, we're going through them quite nicely here.
Chorong.
Yeah, nice and easy.
Hanbin.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, actually, quite an easy quiz this one.
Stalker.
Stalker. Yeah, nice. Okay. I think there's only two more, so I guess.
Oh fuck, two more.
Running
now
out of players on
I
these.
just got to think about their rosters, you know. Does World Cup count?
Nope.
Okay. Goodbye, Majet, I guess. Fuck, who else is on those teams? You got proper Stalker, proper literally never won anything in Overwatch League is my belief and understanding. So he's like a
He's
red
a
herring
bogey
in there.
pick. He's a bogey
Yeah.
pick.
We've done Fielder and Chia, right? We've done both of them.
Yeah.
We've done Chorong Shu. We've done all the guys on Toronto Defiant, I think, because Vega never won anything. Lenny never won anything. We've done Kev. Who the fuck else is there? Who's been winning? God. That's all in North America. Is that all of Asia? Am I missing a tank right now? We've got Smurf, someone. Juma never won anything. Max never won anything. Heesung never won anything.
I think there's
Lips picked. Happy.
I was
Okay,
going to
so
say that.
okay, it's actually that was like the difficult one because
he won Guangzhou.
Yes, so he won in like
Yeah.
fucking COVID era in Asia
Yeah.
fucking bracket. But
Yeah, sorry, I was like
technically a
I
winner.
was dragging it so long with the answer. It was really slow.
All right, one more to go.
I was going to say happy, which was really hard to say now. Is it Kellex from like Overwatch League Season 1?
Fuck, it was, wasn't it?
I really wanted it to be to Kellex. I really wanted it to be because he went 10-0 in that stage, but
He won it.
second
They
in the
lost the
playoffs.
stage. They lost
They
the
finished
stage.
second. So I checked, but Kellex is actually not on the list.
That was my second.
You're-
I'm dead.
You're
I'm
not
actually
dead,
dead.
mate. Dead.
Fuck.
So if you get this right, you win.
Is it Fearless?
No, because he never won in OWCS, right?
He was on Zeta, I think.
Yeah.
Well, he
Yeah.
was. Oh wait, yeah, yeah. You're right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's one of your lives lost.
Okay, so it can't be Violet. Can't be Finn. Has to be. God, who's like a?
It's actually it's quite funny when you get it.
Is it like a hidden pick? Like
Not really.
It's got to be EMEA, no? I mean, I'm dead, so I don't. I'm just speaking from a grave here.
Fuck. Because it's not a London boy. It's Funny Astro. I'm so dumb.
Oh
my
my
God.
You would win it.
It's Funny Astro. What the fuck? He was there all along, hiding in plain sight. Yeah, he's on my team. On your team, like it's just right there, right fucking there.
On one of the teams we've mentioned already as a winner in this.
Yeah, like repeatedly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
I took every last neuron. Like that was a
Yeah.
slow burn.
You won it though.
Yeah, another quiz win. Have we got like a tally of who's won the
No
quiz more?
fucking chance. Most of the weeks we don't even track who wins the quiz, you know?
Yeah, we find out in post when Alpha
Yeah.
totals up the scores. But
Can we get
one
Alpha
actually
to total them all up? I swear,
No,
I swear
there
I'm the
must-
quiz head.
there must be an uncoachable super fan who's willing to do the digging to figure out who's.
And you should count all the guests together, like how many times I've won versus Hunter winning versus how many times the guest has won.
Yeah.
So yeah.
The guests always lose, dude. Like,
yeah, fucking guy.
Stupid.
I got close.
We got pretty close there.
Yeah, I feel like you're right though, Max. I feel like experientially it feels like you're winning.
And you had like you had a dip, you know, you had a dip where you were fucking getting lost, but then you locked in, as the kids say.
Yeah, we should be good for that. I'll call you back.
Thank you, man.
It was a trophy delivery.
Yeah, trophy delivery. I just ordered a quiz head trophy, and that was the.
It's outside your door right now.
Yeah, it's right there.
All right.
One
more segment.
Client of the week. Zeruhh, you have a guest? Do you have any nominations for Client of the Week?
Client of the week? Does that mean like?
Don't tell me you don't watch this show.
No.
Oh my God.
No, I watched some episodes. No. I definitely watched Client of the week.
He doesn't know the quiz format. Like he's not a quiz head. It's so fast, dude.
Client of the week.
The youth of today.
Oh, who was the biggest client?
Seeker fell in the well.
Okay, that's a good one actually. Yeah.
Fell in the well and Zero Man EMP'd on the next map.
And then shot himself in the head. No.
It's got to be up there.
I feel bad now for bringing him up.
I've got a couple of pictures if people need thinking time because we've been having a while. I've been accumulating. I've been having encounters and interactions with the good people of the Overwatch community. So some of you might be familiar with KDM. He's a French player. He plays.
God.
He plays on OWCS Unknown. Some people might know him because they're the one-trick team and they've been playing ball and they've had some success. Some people mostly know KDM because there's been a series of clips posted on Twitter accusing him of hacking, cheating, right? And I'm not here to talk about the clips because, you know, accusations on Twitter, whatever, not my bag. And I think ultimately, for what it's worth, Blizzard cleared him as well, right? Even though maybe not everyone is willing to believe Blizzard on that. But this isn't about the cheating as such. What happened is I was streaming and people were asking me about the hacking. And I was saying kind of what I was saying now, like, oh, come on, accusations on Twitter, you know, anyone can have like a lucky clip, whatever. Let's wait and see what, you know, the boss men at Blizzard say. As much as we've maybe given them some flack, trust them on this one. So then after this stream, KDM joins my Discord. And I'm like, great, classic. See me talking on stream, here we go. He immediately gets in an argument with people about himself. So I'm like, thank you for bringing this to the community. Cheers, mate. Appreciate it. And then, obviously, people bite back, right? Because people are just like, you're a fucking cheater, bro. You're a fucking cheater, bro. And he's like, I'm not a cheater, blah, blah, blah. And then somebody has the audacity to say, God forbid. Let me get it. Like, it's a little bit blurry, but hopefully you can see. Somebody says, well, even if you didn't cheat, you should be banned for being French.
We're just keeping it real.
So, obviously keeping it a buck. So then KDM DMs me, and I see I have a DM from KDM. I'm like, oh, what is this? He says, I think maybe this type of racism on your Discord should probably be discussed. So I actually read that message before I read the screenshot. I was like, what the fuck is kicked off, you know? Because, like, Jesus Christ, I leave the Discord alone for 5 minutes and it's getting racist. So
I wasn't even there.
Yeah, Chris wasn't even online at the time. It was crazy. So then I give KDM the benefit of the doubt, right? Because I'm an upstanding guy, I'm a nice guy, and I'm like, look, he's obviously getting a lot of heat right now. So I message him and say, look, they're not fucking right. They're not angry because you're French. They're angry because they think you're a cheater. Just try and block it out, right? Don't fucking argue with random, like, people, no offense to the people in my Discord, but random nobodies off the CX Discord. Don't get into arguments with them. The only people whose opinions should matter to you are Blizzard and your team, right? And I say that to him, and I thought, you know, that may be helpful. And then KDM says he's fine with shit talk, which is obviously not true because he's arguing with people in my Discord. And then he says, people are haters always for no reasons, but this is just racism on your Discord. So at this point, I've lost my patience. I feel like I gave him the gimme of, like, you know, whatever. And I was like, one, it's literally not racism. French is not a race, you know. France famously never has any problems with race because everyone's the same race in France. They're all French, right? Famously, never any race relations issues in France. So I'm just saying, everyone shit talks other countries. It's really fine. It's really fine. So then he responds to me again. And he says, I mean, if you want to go there, There's only one race. The human race.
That's actually so based.
So, and then he says, I didn't pick a fight, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, honestly, mate, there was no fighting before you turned up. You turned up, there was fighting. Then you left and there was no more fighting. There's a bit of smoke without fire thing here. So, did he cheat? Did he not cheat? Blizzard said no. I don't care. Either way, this interaction, fucking client.
I think I will add to the KDM being a client thing, because he also randomly put out some Twitter video like when he got hackizated, saying how some random Saudi client, his words not mine, accused him of hacking with an angry tweet. But then in that same video, he just for 4 seconds of the video, there was just like a frame, because he was just like shit talking random people in EU in this video. He just randomly accused Sile of being a pedophile with no evidence at all. It was blink and you'll miss it. But for no reason at all, he just accused Sile of being a pedophile, with no evidence and nothing. It was just so out of nowhere. It didn't really get any traction, to be honest. The Sile's reply has 11 likes. The original tweet has 60. But just in the middle of this video of him being hackizated, he's just randomly calling Sile a pedophile. It's really rogue. So I think I'll +1 the KDM being client of the week, because he's maybe a cheater and he's definitely a client. Is how I feel.
Yeah, to be fair, I also heard a story that apparently he had another falling out with another player in ranked. I don't know what. Again, he doesn't mind shit talk, so I don't know how he's getting in all these arguments. Can't be his fault. Gets in this argument apparently, and then adds the guy on Battle.net afterwards, DMs him and says he wanted him to swap Brig and he wouldn't swap Brig. So then he's like, I'm gonna fake some screenshots of you saying the N-word and get you cancelled. So nice of him to give him a heads up at least, so you know it's coming.
Reliable source, you know.
Seems a bit hot-headed. I'd say overall.
Was it Sam? Was it Sam, the guy that was in the rank game?
No, it wasn't Sam. No,
Maybe.
Unfortunately, this isn't. There's not a conspiracy theory here, as far as I can tell.
I mean, he is French, so he could have connections to Nico.
Oh my god!
There actually is, mate. There is a story that we can flesh out here.
Thank God we're the premier investigative journalist.
KDM plants the screenshots. Nico sneaks in, records it.
Oh my god! Wait, he never snuck in. He was never in the room. There was no room. There was no room. It's all
the moon
fake.
landing all over again, dude. I can't be arsed with this.
I love that.
All right.
Wait, I also have another one. I've got more. It's been
nominations.
We've actually not done an episode in a while, which I'm sure a lot of our fans are keen to remind us of. So I've got some queued up. So obviously, this was actually as a result of the official co-streamer thing. So it seems like while we might not have been happy with all the featured co-streamers, we weren't the only ones not happy with all featured co-streamers. And this tweet was brought to my attention after I was announced. So obviously there's the announcement, there's me and the gang, everyone's favorite people, plus Avast. And then Flare Toga responds, I'll be there for all of them, except Commander. So I feel like I've been singled out a little bit. It's fine. It's fine.
I think they're not a client. I think they're reasonable.
Yeah. Somebody asked, why not Commander? Go on, I'll bite. Flare Toga responds, his community members are arseholes. So again, I actually quite like this distinction. Not me, just my fucking community. And he allows them to subtly shit talk another content creator while not directly getting involved with it. Mm-hmm. So I'm pretty upset to find out, one, people in my chat are having their own opinions that I've not told them to have. That's really upsetting. I feel like everyone should only repeat my own opinions in my own chat. So anyone with their own opinion should get lost, obviously, immediately. No free thinkers, please. So, okay, they don't like me. That's fine, not a problem. Chose to, respond to it in a tweet I'm tagged in, so cheers for that. Okay, not a problem. So then I do the featured co-stream. And obviously, exclamation mark plays in the chat. It's time to play marbles. And who shows up to play marbles? Because even though they said they wouldn't be here, but they're here.
I mean, that's always the case.
They're here to play marbles, right? So let me walk you through this, okay? So they've actually been in my chat before, but they come into chat and also shout out, I was up at 7 a.m. playing marbles. 7 a.m. playing marbles so everyone get their drops and get their codes. And Flare Toga turns up and says, so the way I did the marbles, the giveaway, I stole it a lot from Avast. So thank you, not Avast, sorry, Avril. Thank you, Avril. Stole your method where you run the game of marbles, you get a winner, then they get to spin a wheel. which tells you what prize they win. And some of the prizes where you just get timed out, you know, so a bogey reward. A bogey reward. Keep gambling. Make it, you know.
Yeah, keep gambling.
Keep gambling, right? Make it more exciting. There's a bogey reward. Bit of fun, you know, bit of fun. It's 7 a.m. We're playing marbles. Come on, let's have some fun. Flared Toga, not a fan of this. Making a timeout reward, that's pretty pathetic. Not going to lie. So somebody else in chat says, oh, you know, have a laugh. You know, it's a bit of fun. Flared Toga says, no, not really. I just want the codes. If someone wins, they deserve a reward. Want some kind of meritorious thing, right? So then, obviously, this Iris is wanted is going back and forth. So then Flared Toga responds, then how come every other casino has no punishments?
I mean,
you know,
it does.
Casinos, there's no downside. There's no downside to the casino. You just go to the casino, you win. What's the possible downside of a casino?
No punishment.
There's no punishment for going to the casino, as we all know, right?
That's what I've been trying to tell my wife. She says, well, why is the bank account going down, Chris? I say, no punishments. It's not a CommanderX stream.
So then, after obviously being pretty upset with the system,
Exclamation mark play.
Exclamation mark play in the chat. It's time to play.
Keep gambling.
Keep gambling. All right. So still wants the code, doesn't agree with the system, but still will participate in the system, right? That's fair enough. People don't agree with the voting system, but they still vote, you know, whatever. So then play a couple of times and then reaches breaking point, right? Reaches breaking point. I'll just stick to other streamers giving out codes next time. Giving timeouts as a reward is a shit thing to do. So we've reached breaking point. Fuck you. Don't like it. I'm not going to play. I'm not going to play. Timestamp on this, 7:01. How long can Flared Toga stick to their opinion? How long can they stick to their opinion? Let's see. It's because they're obviously passionate about it. They tweeted about it 2 days.
7:03 is when they play again.
All right. You know what? You've underestimated them, Chris. You've underestimated them. They got all the way to 7:08! Exclamation mark play.
Yeah, that's the client. That's the client
So,
of the week. That's what.
If you don't like me, that's fine. Don't watch. You're probably not watching this right now, to be fair. Don't watch. That's absolutely fine. But if you're going to have an opinion, can we at least try and stick to one opinion for 10 minutes at a time? Maybe 10 minutes at a time, you know? Surely we can get that. So enjoyed that interaction. Glad that one was brought to my attention. And that was some of the fun you missed out on, Max, from not getting the featured co-stream.
Yeah, no. If I had Flared Toga in the chat, I would have been violently abusing them. So I feel like you did a much better job than that.
I also love, for the record, I feel like X, you've cottoned on to what I've been doing for like 20 weeks, which is like using Client of the Week segment as like some sort of like self-therapy to get it out there.
like just making
someone
notes.
pisses me off, I just like, I'll get this out. Like you feel like you're like presenting it to the world. So I'm glad you finally starting to see the power of the Client of the Week segment.
You know how some people have like, oh, that was a particularly, oh yeah, I felt a bit weird about that. I'll talk to my therapist about it later this week. I'll talk about it in Client of the Week, and that'll make everything okay.
No,
all right.
Honestly, I do the same.
Does anyone else have any personal grudges to get off their chest, or
No, all laid out. All laid out.
all laid out?
That I feel like, you know, between the featured co-streamer discussion and the Chris Widowmaker debate, I think I'm zen.
You got enough. You got zen.
I've aired out all of my grievances. I'm feeling like a goddamn French revolutionary right now. I'm ready to pack it up.
All right then. So are we saying Flared Toga? I feel like that's the one that I enjoyed the most. That one got me. There was always another tier to it as well. It just kept going. Unprompted as well. Unprompted. No one. Anyway. All right, then. We're going to scrap that segment, I think.
Yeah,
thank God.
Decided.
Thank God.
It's I feel like it doesn't add anything. So Zeruhh, just happy to have you. We're not going to.
Congrats on being the first unranked guest.
Unranked.
Thank you.
Yep, unplaced.
Unplaced. All right.
Appreciate you coming on. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Zeruhh.